11, 5, 9 and 20 miles today, 4, 11, 17, 32 the day before. Boot, 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 moving up and down again. There's no discharge in the war. Don't look at what's in front of you. Boot, 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 moving up and down again. Men go mad with watching them. There's no discharge in the war. If your eyes drop, they will get the top of you. Boot, 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 moving up and down again. There's no discharge in the war. Try to think of something different. Oh, my God, people going through it. Moving up and down again. There's no discharge in the war. 7, 6, 11, 5, 4, 17.
Welcome to the next generation of warfare, psychological warfare. In modern conflict, the mind is a potent weapon. Discover General Michael T. Flynn's groundbreaking guide, The Citizen's Guide to Fifth Generation Warfare. Unlock tactics, strategies, and the mindset to navigate this cognitive battlefield that we all find ourselves in. Equip yourself against manipulation and emerge unscathed. Unleash your potential. Order now.
How's it going, everybody? If you guys can do me a solid, hit those 5x5s. Give me the loud and clears. No matter what platform you're watching on, sound looks good on my side, but this show is live. And I just want to make sure that we're good to go on all ends. I know there's a little bit of delay, so I'll buy you guys some time, hopefully, as those 5x5s come in. It is June the 8th, 2026. Halfway through the 26th year, and a whole lot going on tonight. It's going to be a long show. So, forewarning, we'll play it by ear as we start to approach that 3 hour mark on whether we're going to do a two-parter to this and maybe do part two tomorrow, or whether we're just going to run the gauntlet, because there's a lot to cover tonight. And as fast as I'm going to try to go through it, I don't want to cut anything short because I think it's very, very important to cover. And there comes the 5x5s, and truth is out there says 5x2. It may be my speaker. Truth, you let me know, man. We got to help you out with the speaker. We'll do it. So, all right, they're all coming in. The confidence is looking good from everybody. Let me make sure our YouTube's out there 5x5, and let's take a listen, see how everybody out there on the X world, they're good as well. Okay, so we're solid on that stuff. What are we going to be talking about tonight? A whole lot of a lot. Escape LA, the elections. We'll be hitting that pretty early after we get through the general news, and that's probably going to be one of the longer parts tonight. We'll see. After that, we're going to go into Hunter Biden returns. If you guys know me, you know my position on this, but it's also been very disappointing on some of the other positions that I've seen out there, and we'll talk about that. QComs all over the place, Cavino, White House, Trump, just everything. Bolton pleads guilty. You guys are gonna love, if anything, that is probably going to be the highlight segment right there. There's going to be some I told you so spoiler alert. And then we're going to get into Trump versus Bibi, Trump versus Israel. What we really see, what does it really mean? What's it an indicator? And if you guys remember, last week's show really set up the show for this week. Almost like it's scripted, almost like we're watching a movie, but this show is not scripted, as you can tell by we're supposed to start quite some time ago. So before we get into the show tonight, we have some amazing people, as always, that sponsor the show. Let's get into this first one. You saw me interview them not too long ago. You're going to see a QR code populate right over my left shoulder here in a second. There it is. And we're talking about Kimchi One. And I told you guys, I'm going to start trying it. And it's right here. And you know, anytime you try something new, you're just like, what's going to feel like? How am I going to do it? And I can tell you right now, this stuff is pretty damn awesome. So microplastics are infiltrating every part of our lives. Scientists estimate we now consume a credit card's worth of plastic every single week through our food, water, and even the air we breathe. One study found plastic particles in 100% of human lung samples. That is scary. Nobody is safe from exposure. It gets worse. These plastics don't just sit in your body. They cross the gut lining, leach into your blood, and disrupt everything. They've been shown to alter your gut bacteria, suppress your immune system, and increase your risk for neurodegenerative disease, metabolic disorders, and cancer. Some plastic toxins like BPA and phthalates mimic hormones, interfere with fertility, and damage the DNA. Even if you eat clean or avoid packaged foods, you're still being exposed. You can't opt out, but your gut can help you fight back. Kimchi One from Bright Core Nutrition is a potent ally in this toxic world. It's packed with over 900 probiotic strains unique to kimchi and proven to break down BPA, helping you detox from inside out. It doesn't just support digestion, it helps protect your cells, your brain, your hormones, and your future. Your body was never designed to handle plastic, but your gut was designed to protect you. You just have to give it the right tools. Right now, listen, folks, pay attention. You can get 25% off with my code ALPHA at the link below. For an even better deal, call my friends at Brightcore and get up to 50% off. Yes, if you call them, get up to 50% off and free shipping. That number, folks, is 888-404-7997. 888-404-7997. Remember, call, get that 50% off, get that free shipping. I'm here. I'm taking it. And I'm telling you what, this stuff is pretty freaking awesome. If you're someone that doesn't like pills, you can open up the capsules. put it in your yogurt or something like that. It's healthy. So don't think you're taking some sugar gummy, but you're definitely taking something. And I've been very excited to get this as part of my regiment to make Alpha healthy again. You guys saw that last show, and of course these plastics things just scared the living crap out of me. And you know, I love doing that show and having a solution at the end. And this is that. So I hope you guys join me with that. Again, it's not just an ad. This is family now, and I'm taking it with you. And I tell you guys what, there's another sponsor I was trying to get in tonight, and it just today was hectic, and they are awesome. They are awesome, and I can't wait to get them in. I'm gonna get them in next Monday's show, and this one's gonna bring a smile to your face. That's the spoiler I'll tell you guys right now. And the other thing I'll tell you that this is an American patriot. So Monday, tune in. I'm gonna have an amazing sponsor for you guys then, and you guys are gonna love it. So now let's get into the show, right? We'll take a break and do some ads later. We saw that trailer. So some of you like, what the hell are you playing, Alpha? Well, shout out to Mr. Truth Bomb, real Mr. Truth Bomb, new Q documentary for the boss. That is the trailer to that video. I'm stoked. I like the work that this guy puts out there. And so I'm definitely looking forward to this one. And it kind of just fits into the flow of tonight. And you know, I'm kind of fired up. I don't know, maybe we go the distance tonight. How many of you are fired up? It's 9:02, 21:02 hours here on the West Coast. Do I got some East Coasters that are like, let's just go, Alpha. Let's go the gamut. I don't care. Let's go 4 hours. Let's set a record. I don't know. Maybe I'm hyped because we're at the beginning. In like 2 hours, y'all gonna see me. Gonna have one eye open. Gonna look like I got a lazy eye. I don't know, but I'm fired up. Maybe you guys will keep me fired up. Let's get into the first one, and I positioned this one to be very important to kind of set the tone for tonight. Let me make this a little bit bigger here for you guys. The White House puts out, this was just a few hours ago, trust, patriots, and control. Now, this post wasn't a part of tonight's show. At the very last second, I said, let me just go make sure I didn't miss any big news that's come out. And then I caught this. Trust, patriots in control, and it's our president. And it doesn't matter how many shows I do. It doesn't matter how many shows you watch. It doesn't even matter the different breakdowns and assessments of what we got going on. And I've done my best to keep my assessments accurate, and they have been. But at the end of the day, if you guys have watched me on other people's shows, if you've listened to me on any audio podcasts out there, you know that I always break it down to something fundamentally. And I see some people saying Lost Tale. So give me 1 second while I check to make sure we're still going. If you're watching on Rumble, give me some 5x5 so I know you guys still got me. I'm gonna rub my hat so I can see if I'm picking it up on there. And it's looking like we have a crash. So I know for those of you watching on other platforms, bear with us for a second. I am trying to see. All right, everybody's saying back up. He's back. All right, there's me touching my hat. So let me reload this over here just to make sure we're good. Let me do this. You guys are probably, what the hell is he doing with this hat? This just allows me to time the delay from what you guys see and what I'm doing in the studio. And there we go. Okay. All right. Dang, I was like, come on. They must listen. They know I'm fired up for the show tonight. Like, that's what it comes down to. In the event something happens and Rumble goes down, there's some other platforms you guys can catch me on, like YouTube. So and if you guys are watching on YouTube and you prefer YouTube, then, you know, have Rumble as your backup, or even Substack. This program goes out on Substack as well. So again, for those of you that are watching on Rumble, make sure you go and subscribe to the YouTube channel. One, that'll definitely help me out. And for those of you that are watching on YouTube, come and subscribe on the Rumble channel. And then it helps you out because then you have a backup if some gnarly stuff goes down. But we're back. So trust in Trump. And the point that I was trying to make is everything comes down to fundamentally one question. And this is, obviously I believe in God. I subscribe to my creator, and belief is always him first. So that's just, I don't even have to make that argument. That should just be known. But it comes down to this question. Do you trust your president? Do you trust Trump? Not the government, because I don't trust the government. You shouldn't trust the government. This man is not a cookie cutter template, not a career politician. He's a man that got into this, and we picked him for that very reason. And so somebody said, please get on pilled.net. I will check that out. But it comes down to, do you trust President Trump? Because there's a lot of stuff that's going on, and it's chaotic. But if you look at what he accomplished in his first administration, 1.0, remember these terms, 1.0, and you trust what he's done in the first part of 2.0, this is not blind trust. He's done everything along with those that he has chosen for certain purposes to facilitate war against the most entrenched, powerful enemy humanity has ever seen. And he's doing it in a way that there's not a huge loss of life or destruction. And so it just, when I saw this post getting ready for the show, trust, Patriots in control, I was like, damn, well, we're going to put that at the forefront. Because the one I was actually going to start the show with, which is Eagle Ed Martin, if I remember correctly, yes, it is a little bit of a darker place. And Eagle Ed Martin says they killed Charlie. They shot President Trump. They put hundreds into the DC gulag by line. It's not a battle of ideas. They want us dead. Know the fight we are in. I mean, how much more clear does somebody need to do to paint the picture for you guys? They do want us dead. You saw what they did with the bioweapons. You saw what they did with opening the borders, and we're going to get into all that. So let's just keep firing through this first part because we do have a long night. We kind of touched on this last week, but it plays into this week, so I want to kind of touch on it again. Real Robert puts out, here it is, Gaza right underneath us. What's he talking about? Mexican authorities say that they discovered an 869-foot Gaza in Tijuana that connects to a well-known street in San Diego used to the store logistics for weapons, explosives, drugs, and human trafficking operations. A little bit more on that story right here. U.S. Attorney CAS puts out Stairway to Hell drug tunnel discovered between Otay Mesa and Tijuana. Sophisticated passageway descends 55 feet. And then when you look at the American side of this story, again, U.S. Attorney CAS puts out, with a ton of cocaine behind them, USA Adam Gordon today announced that 4 people were arrested and charged with trafficking more than $45 million worth of cocaine through a sophisticated cross-border tunnel, with the U.S. side located in a sham retail shop called Buy for Less near the Otay Mesa port of entry. Now, again, are they going to bring drugs and weapons and human trafficking and child trafficking through here? Yes, they are. Obviously, they caught them with the contraband. But what's more scary, and we're going to be talking about this at 2 different parts of the show tonight, is our enemy adversaries are also using these tunnels to collaborate with the cartel. Yes, I'm talking about full-blown terrorist groups. S-Red 2020 says, thanks, Alpha, for your hard work. So appreciated. Listen, you guys are the audience. You guys are the ones that allow me to get this message out there. And while we're at it, before they leave, shout out to Magic KWMN, who gifted a whole bunch of subscriptions out there to make this day that was rough for me go a little bit better. We got like 15 subscriptions, more than that. Oh my gosh. Holy smokes. I'm just seeing how many came in. Holy smokes. Got some real ones out there, folks. Got some real ones. MJ Truth puts, kaboom, the FBI just raided a $35 million mansion and arrested California tech CEO Jamshid Gumi for supplying U.S. equipment to Iran's nuclear and military establishment. Gumi moved over $15 million from Iran into his U.S. bank accounts and a separate escrow account, falsely reporting the money to the IRS as a foreign inheritance, according to the DOJ. His federal tax returns reported almost no income, with his highest reported income in any year being just over $20,000. He allegedly claimed the tax break intended for low to moderate income working individuals and families in 7 different tax years, while reporting more than $1.7 million in mortgage interest. I want to read this one more time. While reporting more than $1.7 million in mortgage interest. 1.7. Interesting 17 right there. Part of that article. Maybe it's nothing. Nonetheless, these people they're getting caught. So again, when people say nothing's happening, you remind them of this. You remind them of what's happening. Eric Dowdery puts, it's official. The Trump DOJ has just busted an Islamic terrorist plot in the United States. Individuals in Kansas and California were found providing material support to ISIS. Law and Order. AG Todd Blanche. Young men in their 20s completely indoctrinated by terrorism and by terrorists and actually spending money to actually follow through on these attacks. I have this clip for you, so let's take a listen.
Individuals in Kansas and California that you found, and they were providing material support to ISIS. And the details are quite something. One said it was sick if his name was on a drone that would kill American service members. Another person said they always wanted to kill a female soldier by beheading. I wish I could kill 300 million Americans. These are bad guys, and now they're indicted.
Yes, this is a very disturbing case. You have young men, they're in their 20s, completely indoctrinated by terrorism and by terrorists, and actually spending money to actually follow through on these attacks. Like you just said, one wanted their name written on a drone to kill Americans. One fantasized about killing a female soldier by beheading her. And look, another great example of hardworking FBI agents and our federal prosecutors in California and Kansas and working together. And I'm glad we were able to interject here and stop these men. But it's a good reminder to the Americans that this fight is not over. There are still a lot of people that want to inject harm into this country and our citizens.
No doubt about it. And bringing it domestic.
Again, folks, people will, if you are listening to certain voices, and we're going to identify them a little bit later in the show, they will only talk about Israel. The juice, and not mention this. Again, ask yourself, why? Why ignore this threat, which is absolutely important? And by now, if you've been watching this show long enough, you should know the answer to that. But we'll keep going, and don't worry, we'll get on Israel a little bit later as well. OC Scanner puts breaking. U.S. military forces will be conducting urban training activity tonight in Irvine and numerous SoCal cities. Irvine Police Department. On June 3rd, from 8 p.m. to midnight, the U.S. military will be conducting a training exercise in the area of Alton Parkway and Irvine Boulevard. Residents may observe helicopters in the area during the exercise, but no other training activities will be visible to the public. Now, I just want to remind you guys, if you remember a few weeks ago, when everybody was screaming that we're going to go do stuff in Iran, a few months ago now, actually, me and Josh said, no, some things are going to pop off in Mexico first. And then all of a sudden, you heard that we're doing some military training ops in Mexico. And then a few days after that, all of a sudden, we got all these cartels, leaders, and that are being handed over to us. Because why? This is the way to conduct operations without creating fear and panic. Or maybe it was just training. I don't think so. If you look at what did that Attorney Todd Blanche say? Kansas and California, ISIS terrorist plot. What do we get reported out of San Diego? Gaza-style tunnel coming from Mexico over here by the cartels. All this, how do you think we found that tunnel, folks? People are talking. The intelligence now is finally actionable. Our Our good operators, our good intelligence operators are actually doing their jobs. And this is why you're seeing this stuff get thwarted. But remember, it's getting thwarted because somebody was trying to do something. So when they're sitting here trying to get you to abandon your support for this president, this country, remember, when they're sitting there and they just want to shit all over the FBI, remember what they're stopping. And of course, you're going to have those people say, would they create the problem so they could stop the problem? And historically, they've been correct. But at what point, again, goes to how we started this show. Do you trust Trump? And now you're finally seeing the part where they're going to stop the bad guy. So at some point, we, the American citizens, have to say, okay, I understand. There's real things actually happening this time. There's real plots actually being disturbed this time. There's real terrorists actually being apprehended this time. There's real good, honest operations actually unfolding this time. There are so many people that will black pill the shit out of you that just want to tell you, no, it's all fake. It's all fake. It's all fake. If it's all fake, why are we doing podcasts and why are they worried about it? Something to think about. Let's keep going. FBI Detroit, new release. 2 researchers from the National Institute of Health were charged with conspiracy to smuggle monkeypox into the United States and giving false statements to federal law enforcement. A federal complaint alleges that the researchers told Customs and Border Patrol, CBP, their case contained diagnostic and testing equipment. However, an investigation by Customs Border Patrol and the FBI agents uncovered 113 vials, 18 of which have been verified to contain monkeypox as of today's date. The investigation was conducted by the FBI Detroit Joint Terrorism Task Force, along with assistance from FBI Billings, Missoula Resident Agency, and the U.S. Customs Border Patrol Detection Team at Detroit Metro Airport, and the U.S. Department of Health and Human Services, OIG. This is from June 2nd. Bioweapons, folks. Let's keep going. Nick Sorter puts in, just then, President Trump signs an executive order invoking the Defense Production Act to save 13 coal plants across 10 states. Biden tried his hardest to close these plants. Trump's rebuilding them better than ever. And I think I do have this clip for you guys. Here we go.
Today, we're officially invoking the Defense Production Act to save 13 coal plants in West Virginia, Kentucky, North Carolina, Indiana, Tennessee, Arizona, Arkansas, Oklahoma, North Dakota, and Wisconsin. These were incredible plants, so productive, really producing a lot of the electricity, right? The electricity, and it's really the best at that. You know, when they find something better, Chris, I think we'll be all set for it, right? But they're a long ways from finding something better.
Cost critical.
And so when you look at that, those states, West Virginia, Kentucky, North Carolina, Indiana, Tennessee, Arizona, Arkansas, Oklahoma, North Dakota, Wisconsin, what do they all have in common? Trump won them.
Wisconsin, but you're
I won every one of them by a lot, right?
Yeah.
I'm not even
Pennsylvania,
mentioning
too.
Pennsylvania, which we won also, right?
Yes.
But we won them all. We won all 50. We had an honest count, if you want to know the truth. Our action will allow these facilities to invest in upgrades that will extend their operational lives for decades into the future, reinforce the reliability of our electric grid, which is really the biggest beneficiary, and most importantly, keep electricity prices very low for the American people.
If you listen, he tags in on those energy comments. And again, if you've been overwatching The Guardian, Josh's shows, my shows, you know we've been talking about at the main point of all these combat operations and moves, we're in a artificial intelligence and energy war. And again, some of this stuff is done through, he's not lying about what's being done, but we know just by the pattern recognition of all these things that there's more to this story than what the president is also reporting. Again, do you trust President Trump? Next. Gunther puts out, President Trump torches the Democrat witch hunt. Michael Cohen recants, admits he was pressured and coerced, and that the entire sham against Trump is collapsing. In a powerful Truth Social post, President Trump exposes the total fraud when the start witness completely recants and reveals he was strong-armed by radical left prosecutors Tisha James and Alvin Bragg, and the DA even admits Cohen was their only reason for bringing the case. How is that not dismissed immediately? This was never about justice. It was a coordinated political prosecution by corrupt New York Democrats desperate to stop Trump at any cost. Eugene Carroll is going to start snitching out the people that pressured her. Cohen is going to start, obviously, snitching on the people that pressured him. The entire house of cards is collapsing on this deep state, and you guys are witnessing it in real time. Trump says, when a start witness totally recants in every way, reveals that he was pressured and coerced to give testimony, and when the prosecutor admits that this witness was the single reason that the case was brought, there was no other, how can that case not immediately be dismissed? And if you guys remember my story, listen, I'm not trying to compare myself to the president. I never would. But damn, do our prosecutions share so many similarities. Because how was my prosecution brought against me by the FBI Joint Terrorism Task Force back in 2021? They said that a confidential informant had reported my social media. And then when we challenged them in court to go to an in-camera hearing to reveal the identity of said informant, the FBI came out and said, oh, we made a mistake. There was never, ever an informant. We meant to write anonymous party, even though we wrote citizen informant, confidential informant several times. I agree with President Trump. If that's the single way this thing started, and you're saying now that it doesn't exist, that should have got my case dismissed, but it didn't. We fought for 4 more years, and so was Trump. So you see these patterns. They do it to us at the the low hanging fruit. Those of us that aren't that big of a deal in the big scheme of things, but the playbook doesn't change for someone at the top of that totem pole, like the president of the United States. But Trump won. I won. America wins. Ezra Cohen puts reason 1001 why I do not have LinkedIn. And he's referring to Alex Wickman's post. New. MI5 and Five Eyes partner agencies have just issued what they say is an unprecedented joint warning about attempts by who? Chinese spies to use LinkedIn to recruit Western assets. Now, who's been telling you guys about the CCP for forever and a day? Myself and a few others. It's good. I'm pumped up, man. I'm pumped up tonight. The White House. Some good news right here to wash down some of that terrible news that I've been sharing. Outstanding job numbers. 172,000 jobs added in May. Over double economists' expectations. That's 172,000 Americans, folks, last month that were looking for work and finally found it. Wanted a chance to chase the dream or feed their families, and they got it. 172,000 people, folks. About what, 3 stadiums? 3 football stadiums of people that got a job. That's good stuff. Makes me happy. Makes my heart sing. Rapid Response 47, Trump administration launches largest ever effort to denaturalize U.S. citizens accused of fraud and other crimes. Listen, call me racist. I don't care. Get mad. All right. This is not the channel for you if you want something politically correct. If these people came and got naturalized into our country and are now stealing for our country, stealing from the American taxpayer, shitting on the America taxpayer, shitting on our American flag, trashing on our flag, trying to subvert our flag, trying to subvert our president, I am all about this. Denaturalize their part. I'll keep my language clean. Do it. Do it. This is great news. But again, all this crowd that likes to attack Trump, like Massey and these other ones, right? This is a huge America First move, and they ain't saying nothing. Crickets. Defender of the Republic puts out, this is gold. Ridlandale TV has the best journalists. I have this clip for you guys. This is pretty badass. Take a listen.
Hi, Congresswoman Pelosi. Last time I asked you about January 6th, why you turned the National Guard away on January 6th, you told me to shut up and that I was repeating Republican
talk.
talking
Shut up again because you're speaking lies. And I don't
But
have
you're right
anything
here.
to do
You're
with
right
it.
here on record saying,
no,
I'll
shut up.
admit it.
No, I did not admit it. The president never would agree to send the National Guard. Don't waste your time or mine on you.
Why was your daughter filming you on January 6th?
Why don't you get away?
These are just questions the American people want answers to.
No, you know what? I don't even think you're a real journalist. You work for Mike the Pillow Man?
Actually, I do, and we're very
I
proud.
don't consider that journalism. Mike the Pillow Man, that's not journalism. I don't have any reason to talk to you.
He'd love to give you a free
I want you to
pillow.
record this. I want people to know that you are not a real journalist. You work for Mike the Pillow Man, and all you do is spout untruths.
Okay.
Get away from me.
You can insult me all you
Get
want,
away
but
from me.
Thank you, guys.
thank you, Congresswoman. We'll give you my pillow so you can have a nice sleep tonight, okay? Take care.
She said, we're gonna give you a My Pillow so you guys can sleep tight tonight. Shout out My Pillow. As a matter of fact, let's queue up a My Pillow ad. We haven't played one in a good minute. Speaking of the My Pillow man,
it's finally here, our second annual mega sale. This sale only comes around once a year, so take advantage of the best offers ever while you can. For example, save 50% on our Giza Dream bed sheets as low as $29.98. And for the first time ever on TV, My Pillow mattresses and My Pillow mattress toppers as low as $99.98. And you save 50% on our Lux Pure 6-piece towel sets. Regular $69.98, now only $39.98. And our best-selling standard My Pillows, regular $49.98, on sale for $17.98. Wait on it, mega sale, only $14.98. So go to mypillow.com or call the number on your screen. Use this promo code to take advantage of our second annual mega sale. But wait, there's more. To make the mega sale even more special, when you order right now, your order's going to ship absolutely free.
so here's some insider information. If you guys have been following my podcast from day one, you'll probably already know this. Do you guys know that Mike Lindell, My Pillow, was the first sponsor to pick up this show? So how cool is that? So, our first podcast was launched August of 2021, and Mike Lindell shortly thereafter was the first, partnership, affiliate, family to pick up this show and to start trying to give me some breathing room. So I don't think you're just the My Pillow man. I think you're an American patriot. And let's not forget that folder that Mike was carrying after walking out of a meeting with Trump during that first administration. But damn, how cutthroat was Nancy Pelosi? And the thing is, she's on camera admitting it. On camera. So I'm glad that My Pillow got their journalists out there to put her on blast. Mila Joy puts out, FBI sees 3.5 million doses of fentanyl in a Minnesota bus. Why is it always Minnesota? We ain't done in Minnesota, folks. FBI Director Kash Patel says, congratulations to my friend, Deputy Attorney General Todd Blanche. I've worked closely with Todd these last 15 months, and there's nobody better suited to lead the fight on making America safe again, prosecuting criminal actors and holding accountable those that weaponize law enforcement. President Trump has assembled the best law enforcement team on earth, and with Todd at the helm of the DOJ, the Trump administration will only accelerate our 24/7 nonstop work to restore the republic, trust with taxpayers, and continue to deliver the most prolific reduction of crime in U.S. history. Todd is a friend and an ally and will be fantastic Attorney General. Now, something that caught my attention here, holding accountable those that have weaponized law enforcement. You wouldn't see the DOJ's primary mission being to go after those that weaponize it. It's what we want. But by the very nature of the DOJ, that's also not what you would expect them coming out the gate. But this is something that the FBI director is pointing out. And I think this goes back to the Biden administration era, I say that in air quotes, that it was weaponized against good Americans. against religious people, against parents, and of course against our president. So find it interesting that it was enough for him to highlight that. Then it brings us to Elon Musk. Model Cities Initiative. Let me play this for you.
From the very first day I took office, our administration has waged the most successful war on crime in American history. Last year, the murder rate saw the single largest decline ever recorded, falling to the lowest level in 125 years. We've reduced the fentanyl coming across our border by 60%, from Washington to Memphis to New Orleans to our southern border. We are restoring law and order to America. Now we're taking our next big step to defend public safety in America. At my direction, the Department of Justice is beginning what we're calling the Model Cities Initiative to slash violent crime in major metropolitan areas all across our country. In selected cities, the Department of Justice will provide $300 million in grants to hire police officers, modernize equipment, provide training, and improve law enforcement. This historic funding will go to confronting substance abuse, preventing youth crime, and combating repeat offenders. In short, we're committed to making historic investments in improving the quality of life of city residents nationwide. For the next 90 days, any city or local government representing a population of more than 100,000 people can apply to take part in this exciting new program. It's amazing. Tell your local representatives to apply now by going to www.justice.gov/grants. With your help, we will put more police on our streets, and we will put dangerous criminals behind bars where they belong, and we want to keep them there. Thank you very much, everybody. Have a good time. You're amazing people.
Remember, Obama wanted Americans to hate cops. They wanted to reduce the number of cops. I love that this president recognizes we need to get good cops back on the streets to put fear in these criminals, to know that we actually got the numbers to go out there and be proactive. It's one thing to answer calls. One of the most important things that law enforcement could do is be proactive. So absolutely love that part of the Model Cities Initiative. Let's keep going. Michael Carbonara puts a huge win. Scott Bessent confirms that there will be no centralized digital currency. A fantastic reassurance. Well done. Now, remember all the panicins. Remember all the black pillars. Remember all the anti-Trump and anti-MAGA, what they've been telling you since January of 2025. Trump is controlled by big tech and Peter Thiel. He's going to bring out CBDCs. It'll be the end of humanity. Let's listen to this.
Digital currency. A lot of our viewers are increasingly worried that digital currency could one day be used to track people's spending or limit personal freedom. What's your philosophy on that, and what safeguards is the Treasury and this administration putting in place to make sure new digital payment systems protect Americans' privacy and freedoms in the future?
Well, so this administration has been very clear. There will be no central bank digital currency, which I think would be the first step toward tracking. So we have taken that off the table. We passed stablecoin legislation with bipartisan, and the Clarity Act is now up on the Hill, and I think it has bipartisan support. And the most important thing we can do is to make digital assets come into the United States, make the U.S. the home. Our regulation, our best practices are what will ensure good standards for these. When you look at digital assets, all the nonsense that happens, all the things you read about, that's because it's the wild, wild west offshore, so we got to bring it on shore. So I would encourage the House and the Senate to get clarity done. Jack?
So, and there you have it. That's another I told you so. I need to do one of those. I need to get like a widget on the screen for every time it's an I told you so. We're like, ting, and see how many we can get in the show. Well, listen, when we get it wrong, we'll do that too. We haven't got it wrong yet. Just saying. All right, let's keep going because we got another one from Base Mr. Bezant. Carly Boone puts out, holy fucking shit. I would like to report a murder. What is she talking about? Because that's just no murder really took place. But you guys get what you're saying. Listen to this. This is based.
Mr. Chairman,
Yes.
let's be clear here. Nobody is interested in the ramblings of a capo in the most corrupt regime in American history. We want to get some facts about this deal. That's what we're here for. Thank you.
Well, thank you, and I will ask my questions first today.
And we would like to hear what Adam Wyden and Jeffrey Epstein talked about. Your son's largest investment position was Rick's Cabaret. So did your son and Jeffrey Epstein talk about pole dancing as he begged him for money using your limited credibility?
Should I just proceed? I'm going to proceed with my questions.
Hey, he just bodied you. Should I just proceed? Oh, listen, tell me these guys don't have the goods on every single one of these clowns. That was just, he just said when your son was begging for money based off your limited credibility. Where's that? We need Mortal Kombat. I need someone out there with some skills to create some graphics for me where I can just flawless victory. As a matter of fact, I got something for that one. Hold on. I do have something for that one. Let's play that. I'm going to play it one more time. So this way I can time this just perfect.
Mr. Chairman,
Yes.
let's be clear here. Nobody is interested in the ramblings of a capo in the most corrupt regime in American history. We want to get some facts about this deal. That's what we're here for. Thank you.
Well, thank you, and I will ask my questions first today.
And we would like to hear what Adam Wyden and Jeffrey Epstein talked about. Your son's largest investment position was Rick's Cabaret. So did your son and Jeffrey Epstein talk about pole dancing as he begged him for money using your limited credibility?
Should I just proceed? I'm going to proceed with my...
I've been wanting to use that for so long that I almost forgot that I had it. He bodied White in there. And so our last one, and we're going to get into some of the themes for tonight. Shout out to John over there at Badlands. He puts, Trump has issued a new national security presidential memorandum, NSPM-11, titled Artificial Intelligence in the National Security Enterprise. This issuance reviews the existence of two more classified NSPMs, 9 and 10. Folks, this just completely supports what we've been saying for so long, what I said just a few moments ago, 20 minutes ago or so. At the foundation of all this is an energy and artificial intelligence race between us and the CCP. And the fact that Trump did this artificial intelligence and national security enterprise, well, there you go. Which now brings us into our first, I told you so, but this is a really good one. The Village and Fox puts out Theo Vaughn. I'm not a fan of him, but nonetheless, this clip came from him, so it's important. Was there anybody who was immune to COVID-19? Dr. McCullough says there's one adult group. You're going to laugh. So let's play this clip and let's all. So I wrote, people told me I was crazy when I had Dr. Artis on my podcast years ago for sharing this exact information. Vindicated again. And for those that want to know, this was probably, I think, the second or third show that I had with them. It was that right there. Nicotine, the truth. There's a younger alpha. But let me grab that link and I'll drop it in the chat for you guys. Let me drop it right there for all you on Rumble, and let me drop it on the YouTube platform for you guys over on YouTube that may want to watch it. And let me see. Yep. All right. So it's there. It's working for you guys. So there's that. I did read something in the chat and it caught my attention. And as crazy as you guys have, the chat's like another show in of itself. When something catches my attention, that's important because I don't know, call it divine or something. I feel it's important. ZBM, you've been a long time follower of this show. I appreciate you. But ZBM put, I'm also back on liver cleansers, which helped in the past, but now is essential because my liver and pancreas, from what my tests have showed to be overworking, need help processing food to do a bad. So ZBM, I'd like you to reach out to me, alpha at the AlphaWarriorShow.tv. And I'm going to send you one of these. You don't have to pay for it. I'm going to buy it. I'm going to send it to you. But it's Enforces Restore. This is the one that I said, help with blood pressure, but it also helps. Let's listen to this. Enforce Restore with Grifola frondosa. That's the type of mushroom. Supports healthy liver function, supports healthy pancreas function, helps promote healthy blood pressure. This is the one right there. If you can see it on the camera. This is from Pet Club. I'll as a matter of fact, I'll do their ad right now after I'm done with this. I noticed immediate results with the blood pressure. You guys have heard me talk about it numerous times. As a matter of fact, I think I'm even scheduled to have them on tomorrow, Kurt and Kristen. But ZBM, reach out to me again, alpha at the AlphaWarriorShow.tv. You can give me an address or a PO box, and I'll send this to you. And we'll get going. This is organic, just so you know. So if you're like, yeah, but I'm taking medications, no interactions. This is literally, I don't even like Christian says, I don't even like calling these supplements. It's food, mushroom foods. So if you're taking medications already or something prescribed from the doctor, you're not going to get any negative interactions from this. I mean, you can still talk with your doctor about it if you want, but again, that's coming from Pet Club themselves. So as a matter of fact, let me get their ads so you guys can see what I'm talking about here. Let me give it 1 second. Let me find them. Here you go. This is Pet Club ZBM. You should be familiar with them, but if you're not, here you go.
Science proves that a healthy immune system is the body's first defense against the smallest of ailments to the most catastrophic. Coriolus versicolor is the most sought-after, all-natural supplement for both humans and pets to help boost the immune system. There are over 400 studies worldwide on its effectiveness in humans, including Sloan Kettering Cancer Center, MD Anderson Cancer Center, and now from the University of Pennsylvania School of Veterinary Medicine. Together, we can help reverse this terrible tide now plaguing your loved ones and give them the immune-boosting supplements that they need.
So if you're new to the show, now you guys know about Pet Club. You guys will see them there down in the description all the time. But ZBM, please reach out to me so I can get that stuff out to you as soon as possible, brother or sister. I don't know if you let me know too. Your brother, you a sister, so I can call you the right one, right? We're gender correct here at the Alpha Warrior Show. I'm just playing, folks. All right, let's keep going. So again, that was pretty important. Again, you guys can watch that episode, Dr. Artist. So many of the stuff that we're called crazy for, and turns out that even Dr. McCullough is saying that the science is out there to support this stuff. And if people would have just looked at the peer-reviewed studies back then, because Dr. Artist had the stuff, he had the peer review. It wasn't, this goes all the way back to the early COVID stuff. For those of you that will remember some of my first shows when I was digging deep into this stuff. You remember Biden's administration wanted to ban menthol cigarettes. You guys remember that? And I remember looking into it, I was just like, is this kind of like a racist thing? Because let's be humorous. There's a certain demographic that likes menthols more than others, and they got a little bit more melatonin than some of you other people, right? And so when I started looking into it, I was like, is this a targeted thing? And as I looked into it and started to really realize things, menthol had a specific, it was out of all the cigarettes, it was the most effective at killing off, the spike protein or whatever the heck the bad shit was back then. It's been years since I read that. But again, they called us crazy. So now let's get into well, here, let me play this first clip from Ghost and set up this conversation. Ghost puts, When we say that elections are rigged and therefore fake, people accuse us of blackpilling and undermining Trump. Here is Trump saying it. Somewhere along the way, people re-domesticated themselves and forgot the mission and now cuck to the GOP again. Sad. Now, I partially agree with Ghost on here because there are some people that have definitely re-domesticated themselves and cucked for the GOP. However, I don't see that being the normal people. Those are the fagas, fake MAGA that's done that. What I think, and I think some people, just because they refuse to see something a certain way, is, like some people have made the misinterpretation of me. Well, you're saying you trust elections? When the hell have you guys ever heard the words come out of my mouth that I trust elections? Hell no. They're completely rigged and fraudulent, and we absolutely have to expose them. But you also hear me telling people, and I stand by this statement, you absolutely have to vote in every election we have. And not only do you have to vote, you have to bring people to vote with you. Because that's one of the mechanisms that help us expose the cheat, because you have to draw them to do it in such numbers that we can actually identify the anomalies. So what I would say is we absolutely have to vote, but we also have to recognize that our elections are compromised. You can do both. You don't have to pick one or the other, but just understand that if you say, oh, they're fraudulent, I'm not going to participate, then you just gave up territory. And if we're in a war, you never give up territory. You fight, you fight, you fight. So let's take a listen to what Trump said.
There's a lot of problems inside.
Look, we had a rigged election. We can't have a rigged election. No. We can be nice about it. We can be politically correct. Oh, I don't want to say. I used to say that a year and a half ago. The election was rigged, and the cameras would literally turn off.
Yeah.
And the anchor would say, sir, you're not allowed to say that, Now nobody ever turns off the camera because it's been proven to be rigged. Look at what happened in Georgia. Look at all the stuff that we found out. It was a rigged election. Biden lost in a landslide.
Yeah.
And it's, to think that this could happen. Now, because of that, we have Russia, Ukraine. That would have never happened with me. Because of that, we had open border with 25 million, in many cases, criminal, not all.
And fentanyl deaths.
Everything.
Yeah.
He was a worse president, and we were laughed at all over the world as a country. We're not laughed at anymore. We have the hottest country anywhere in the world.
So
we have
how
the most
do we,
successful country anywhere.
So someone has to be punished, though, for that. So how do you do that?
Well, I don't want to
punish them all.
Yeah, I know. I'd rather not get into it, but
are you confident something will happen?
I don't want to talk about it, but let's see what happens. The election was rigged. We know who rigged the election. We know it. We know everything now. We have information that nobody thought was possible, but when you get to office, all of a sudden people start giving you things. It was I'll tell you, 2024 was a great election. There's a lot of rigging going on there too. Because you know what? I won in a landslide, but there were areas that were just rigged. I could see it.
So
rigged. In other words, rigged against me.
Yeah, of course.
So with that, I think you guys can figure we are into the election portion of tonight's show, which, like I said, I think it'll be definitely one of the longer portions of the show tonight, which we'll start it off with. Let's go to Q and post 2397. Let me zoom in on this to make it easier for you guys to see, because someone's going to yell at me in the chat anyways. Alpha, zoom in. So post 2397, November 3rd, 2018. Keep your eye on the ball. Didn't we just see that through the comms last week? We talked about it on my show. We talked about it on Overwatch and the Guardian. We talked about it on DEFCON. Or not Overwatch and the Guardian. We didn't have that. We talked about it on DEFCON in my show. And so, thank you. So, got my fresh coffee, folks. So now I'm definitely ready to go the distance tonight. But we have keep your eye on the ball. And that brings us to this post, 2397, dated November 3rd, kind of an important day, elections, midterms, and memes. Remember, POTUS already ordered the D-class. RR pushed back hard. OIG tasked to review. OIG works with Huber. Huber reports directly. Was D-class already cleared for release? Was the gambit played by RR to stall and delay post-election, banking on D's win the House? And so we can go through this and go through this and go through this. And then we come down here, the part that I want to focus on the most. Use a stealth bomber. Who's been posting the shit out of stealth bombers on social media the last couple weeks? Oh, that's right. Scavino in the White House. Yep. And then what do we have here? Vote, vote, vote. 3 times. What else did Trump say 3 times? Fight, fight, fight. So can we make the educated assumption here? Can we use some rationale and logical thinking here to be vote equals fight, fight equals vote? So when we're voting, we're fighting because Trump is saying vote, 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 fight, fight, fight? I absolutely think so. And just in case you don't, let's go to post 2621, December 12th, 2018. Yes, and in quotes, watch California was deliberate. And it's referencing in here, will voter fraud in California ever be brought to light? Yes. Watch California was deliberate. California coming to light is not going to be in the 2028 presidential election because then it would be too late. They would still it. We'd be going into a new administration. So the last election that this Q post can apply to, where there's context and meaning, is right now. And what are we seeing right now? Well, we're about to talk about it a whole lot. So let's get into the next one. Inside the Wire says, breaking. Trump says U.S. Attorney Office in LA is investigating California elections over big cheating. Nick Shorter reports President Trump is calling out California's rigged election system against Spencer Pratt and Steve Hilton. Quote, it's 4 days, and they still aren't even close to telling you who won. You know why. Well, let's take a listen to Trump and find out why.
They rigged the election. When I turned, the election was totally rigged. It was a rigged election, just like they're rigging the election right now, it looks like in California. Can you imagine? It's 4 days, and they still aren't even close to telling you who won. You know why? Because they're rigging the election, that's why. 4 days. You know, in Spain, they had it like, I'm not a big fan of Spain, to be honest with you. It's gone very far left. But they had an election. All the votes were in, similar size to the state of California, a little larger, actually. And every vote was in by 10 o'clock in the evening and counted. You're going to be waiting weeks to get these votes. It's corrupt. Somebody said it's incompetent. I said, no, just the opposite. It's unbelievably competent if you happen to be a Democrat politician. Because with their policies, the only way they can get elected is to cheat. And when you look at an election, not even relatively a big election, for one state, for one city, for Los Angeles, they're nowhere close to counting the votes. But you look at what's happening. It's getting tighter and tighter and tighter. And the people that were supposed to win, bad things are happening. It's a crooked state. We have crooked third world elections in a lot of our states, and we should pass our Save America Act. Amazing. And that'll really stop it, too. That'll stop it. You know, that's where you have voter ID. It's where you have birth of, you know, your citizenship. You have to prove your citizenship. I think that sounds good. And also, you know, I added a couple in there. Also, the ballots, the voting, the mail-in ballots, so crooked. They send millions of ballots out all over the place. If you're a Democrat, sometimes you get 6 or 7. If you're a Republican, you have to call up, where are my ballots? It's such a crooked deal. We're third world country. But I added 2 things. No men playing in women's sports. And this is like best of. No transgender mutilization surgery on your child, on your children. None.
Damn, we have a good president. Now, YouTube sends this, you know, for those of you that, you know, if you have a channel, you've probably seen this. It'll send me things and it says, you know, 60%, or I don't know, whatever the percentage is, increase your algorithm when you tell people during your show to like, share, and subscribe. So let's see if this works, okay? If you guys haven't done so already, hit that little heart, smash that thumb, like the content if you enjoy what I've been doing here, share it if you like it, and then if you definitely would appreciate, subscribe, follow the channel. That part is free. And you want to take it a step further and actually subscribe. You can do that on YouTube, you can do it on X, you can do it on any of the platforms you're watching on right now. Go for it. But again, my content will always be free, so no obligation to do that. But you can definitely help me out by, like I said, hitting the heart, hitting the thumb, leaving a comment, sharing this out there, and definitely supporting the people, my partners, sponsors, and affiliates that are down in the description. So let's keep going because we're on elections right now. MJ Truth says, I never pat myself on the back, but I will for this one. And he did really good on this one. I'm the man who caught them cheating in California mayor race. Yup, that was me. I'm damn proud of it. F you, Gavin. And NJ just nailed it right here. What is he talking about? This is what you've seen all the hype out there over. And you have the LA mayor race right here. And it shows Spencer Pratt at 86,323 votes. That's with 39.3% of the expected vote coming in. And then we come in to 42.4% of the expected vote coming in. So Marine Corps mathing right here, we're about 3%, right? Just under 3%. And if you look, Karen Bass increased in numbers. Nathania Raman, Noodle Ramen, right? Increased in numbers. Adam Miller increased in numbers. Spencer Pratt remained the same, 86,323, 86,323. Statistically impossible. Impossible. And I think I have some of these things that are covered in here, but just in case we don't, Noodle Ramen got her ass kicked by Karen Bass and Spencer Pratt in her own district, the place where she would have had the absolute best chances of having the highest numbers, and she gets her ass kicked by Bass and Spencer Pratt. But we're supposed to believe this. Miss Ray Freedom Fighter says, Alpha's doing crayon math. He's so sweet. Hey, I think I was pretty accurate, though. I think I did good on that one on the fly. Ms. Ray of Freedom Fire. I was talking shit. That's okay. You support the show. Let's keep going. Elon Musk says the reason ID is banned in California and New York elections is to enable large-scale fraud. When you combine no ID and mail-in voting, fraud is de facto legalized. So when I went to go vote, this was on June the 2nd out here in SoCal, and I voted for Sheriff Chad Bianco because I know someone's going to ask, talk your shit. I don't care. It's who I voted for. That's who I would have loved to have seen mayor. Still support Hilton, but I wanted Chad Bianco. When I went, you go to, where you present your name, I started reaching back towards where a man carries his wallet. And as I was making this movement that some may have interpreted that I was going for my wallet, I feel like I was just stretching my arm back. But the person there interpreted as I was reaching for my wallet, and they said, hey, don't want to see your ID. And I said, huh? So just saying, folks, that is the craziness that we deal with in California. We're going to talk a little bit more about that. And if you look right here, Elon was posting Robbie Starbucks post right here. And this is just crazy. Spencer Pratt is likely going to be overtaken by left Nathania Raman today. This graph shows the count on election day through last night. And if you see right here, you see Mayor Bass, slow downward spiral, leveling off. And then you see Spencer Pratt was up, came down a little bit, and then came up. And right at the same point where Karen Bass started to level off, because they can't have her. Remember, Karen Bass can't go too low, because then Pratt overtakes her and Raman takes over, and then it's Bass that gets kicked out of the fight. So Bass always has to level out. She can't improve too much because, they're taking too many of the votes that they're trying to put into the ballots for Raman. So Bass has to stay level. Pratt has to decline. Noodle Ramen has to do the climb. This, folks, is exactly the pattern you would expect to see in a theft of the LA mayor race. That's the formula. Level out Bass, extreme decline on Pratt, extreme incline in Ramen. Again, remember, Nathaniel Rahman got her ass kicked by Bass and Pratt in her own area. Let's keep going. FA United States Attorney Bill Esseley puts California is blocking a federal audit of its voter rolls. California allows first-time voters to register using forms of ID that most Americans would find surprising, including a gym membership card, employer ID card, credit or debit card, prescription drug label, insurance card. California provides free healthcare coverage to undocumented immigrants. How convenient. Full less at right there, Secretary of State.California or sos.california.gov. This is permitted when a voter fails to provide a social security number or a driver's license at registration. Our office believes this policy deserves a closer look. We also have serious concerns about how California maintains its voter rolls. There are open questions about whether the state is promptly removing deceased voters, people who have moved, and individuals convicted of disqualifying felonies. On top of all that, California allows third parties to collect and turn in ballots on voters' behalf, a practice known as ballot harvesting, with a few restrictions. This makes it difficult to track who actually received, completed, and submitted each ballot. And if you guys have been following social media and all the different platforms, you see people that are showing these trash bins and alleyways full of mail-in ballots from California. For over a year, the Department of Justice has been trying to audit California's voter rolls. Federal law gives the Attorney General the authority to review state voter files and confirm that only eligible U.S. citizens are voting in federal elections. A.A.G. Dillon, this is Harmeet Dillon, sent California a letter explaining our legal authority. California refused to comply, claiming state privacy laws block the review, an argument that does not hold up because those laws don't apply to the federal government in this context. We've sued California in federal court, and the case is before the Ninth Circuit Court of Appeals. I'll comment on that in just a second. If California generally wants voters to trust its elections, it should open its records, not fight to keep them closed. What are they afraid of? Well, the answer to that is they don't want to get caught cheating. The Ninth Circuit is very interesting. Now, all the way back to my law enforcement days, never been a fan of the Ninth Circuit. Right now, we see the Ninth Circuit that's still in a holding pattern over the quote-unquote assault weapons ban and the large capacity magazine ban here in California. And they're waiting on how the large capacity magazine kind of unfolds to then make a determination, even though SCOTUS has already made this determination when it comes to the Second Amendment, assault rifles, etc. Right? But we've also seen the Ninth Circuit make some calls in conservative favor very recently. So is there kind of a transition thing taking place in the Ninth Circuit? I don't know. I haven't been following it close enough to say one way or the other, but I've followed it enough to see that there is something that is a disruption in the pattern that I have seen over the last 15, 20 years. On top of that, remember how we started the election section here? As a matter of fact, let me just go back to it real quick. Yes. Will voter fraud in California ever be brought to light? Yes. Watch California was deliberate. Now, Spencer Pratt, right? Guy was on TV. He knows how to act. He knows how to move an audience. Was picking him strategic. Folks, we talked about it on several other shows that you've seen me on. The way his meme warfare was, I think, top tier in any politician that I've seen so far since AI has been brought into the mix. And you see all the people, he brought in a demographic of people that watch, those, what would you consider that? I can't even think of the word right now. The reality TV, right? That's an audience that, it's different, right? Some of you are like, don't be talking shit, Alpha. It's okay. I have one in my house. She does it too. It's funny. But you have this reality TV audience that kind of got, tapped into this, right? You had the suburban mom. They got tapped into this. Probably one and the same. But you just had this, reality TV. Everybody's catching up. Yes, that's what I'm talking about. So you had all these people come in. Well, people forget, and I know you guys always like to kind of crap on California, but you guys also forget, how important our GDP is to the United States. It is the largest one. But you also forget that the largest Republican voter base is California. So if you wanted to red pill or red suppository a large demographic of Republican voters to move to do something where they become involved, California is the state that you would want to do that in. You would first show all the corruption in other states. You would show Mondami in New York, right? So, because everybody sees how that's unfolding. Scare the shit out of everybody with that, right? You see what's going on with Minnesota. See what's going on with ICE. We saw what went on with ICE last year in Southern California, right? So all of a sudden, there's all this attention to where if you're a Republican conservative in California, if you're MAGA, if you're America First, you just can't really ignore this anymore. And now everybody's involved. And what do? They immediately allow Spencer Pratt to just come out of the gate, just punching and swinging. We saw the numbers, right? Went up, kind of tapered off, and went up. The momentum was behind them. And then we saw an anomaly that doesn't happen. Just straight start plummeting, right? 3%, right around 3% of the vote comes in because Ms. Ray, freedom fighter, is my math teacher, and she's checking me. Starts coming in, and zero. None of them, not one single vote for Spencer Pratt. Statistically impossible. And everybody's watching. Let's keep going. I want to make sure we're all on the same page as we move forward here. This part's important. Rob Bonta, guy's a piece of shit. My office has a presence on the ground right now, is monitoring the situation closely, and stands ready to protect voters and ensure California's election laws are followed. This is regarding California Post federal prosecutors visit LA ballot facility after President Trump's election claims. Not election claims. Election facts. Fact. Spencer Pratt's vote didn't change with thousands of votes coming in. Not one single one. Statistically impossible. President Trump says it was not possible, this is exactly what I'm saying right here, for Spencer Pratt to be defeated by Nathalia Rahman after the big lead he had. Third world nation rigged elections. Now they're working on the great guy, Steve Hilton. Won't have results for possibly 2 weeks, according to officials. California Democrats legalized election fraud. It's a worldwide embarrassment. Absolutely it is. Let's keep going. Make sure this is not one that I had ready. No, okay. Quantum Guard says, breaking, President Trump just said Republicans are redistricting in 2026 to end years of Democratic cheating, and there's nothing Timu, Obama, Hakeem Jeffries can do about it. It's been a wonderful process. The Democrats restricted for years. Now we took our shot. Looks like they're going to pick up a lot of seats, and that's a good thing. We want fair voting, fair elections. The Democrats have been cheating on elections for many years, and we're doing is winning. All we're doing is winning. Let's go. My brother Josh puts this, or he puts the little looking eyes on the Skiffs post. Nothing to see here. Just Dominion, one of the largest election companies in the world, donating $50,000 to the Clinton Foundation. There you see it right there, the Bill and Hillary Clinton Foundation. And there you see it, Dominion voting. Dominion voting right there. They never thought that she would lose. Bringing it back to John, Kurt Olson is joining Joe DeGenova's team. Olson has been leading the Trump's administration election integrity effort, including re-examining Trump's 2020 defeat and investigating disproven vote rigging theories as a special government employee with the White House. Trump 2020 election denier Kurt Olson joins the Justice Department. If you guys have, please tell me you guys are picking up what I'm putting down. All right, because I'm fired up sitting in this seat right now, because I'm like, I know my people are seeing what I'm talking about right here. I know my people see exactly where I'm going with this right now. So I hope you guys are tracking what I'm putting down. If you're not, then I got to do a better job. This is my fault. Real Robert puts out, this is Senator Michael Bennet, an election fraud hack serving in the U.S. Senate. Are they, referencing Dominion, able to do that without detection? Yes. Are you aware of any instances in which that has occurred? Yes. Can you identify those instances? Yes. One would be the Denver, Colorado server. Forensic experts testified under oath that election systems in Gwinnett County, Georgia, Colorado, Michigan, and other swing states were remotely accessed from Belgrade, Serbia, by Serbian nationals during the November 3rd, 11.3, 2020 election, effectively overthrowing the United States government. Tina Peters, quote, and when they compared the two images, They discovered the Colorado election records had been deleted and altered, 29,000 of them, into quote. By the way, Mike, if you ever think about spreading false information about Tina, I will make sure I will post this every single day of my life till you're voted out of office. Now, who just got released out of Colorado prison? Oh, shit. Tina Peters. And who's this good-looking Marine right there on the camera? Well, that would be one Clay Parikh, who I've had the honor of developing a friendship with. Let's take a listen to what Clay says here.
You also mentioned Dominion remotely connecting to election systems, but you don't have any evidence that occurred in Georgia, correct?
There was one county. I've seen a lot of Dominion emails. I've had to translate Dominion emails from Serbian to English to verify the technical questions I was being asked about them, to verify that it was translated properly. So
it's your testimony that there is evidence of Dominion remotely accessing Georgia election equipment?
yes, on the one county. It was included with stuff that I was researching and reading through, considering Colorado. Michigan was also involved, and there were other ones.
To your understanding, is Dominion able to remotely connect to these election systems?
Yes.
Are they able to do that without detection?
Yes.
And are you aware of any instances in which that has occurred?
Yes.
Can you identify those instances?
One would be the Denver, Colorado server was granted, or requested to grant Belgrade, only Belgrade. I did search. There is a Belgrade, Montana. Again, why would Montana need to connect into a Colorado file transfer server as part of the election system? And there are other components and things that were done in the background concerning the database and the configure of the database server that still do not have an engineering change order. Because if somebody works in an operational environments for a lot of different things, what I will tell you is sometimes things break or you have a problem and you have to fix it. And you submit a change request, or in this case, an engineering change order that's retroactive, right? You want to go back and make sure that you record the process so that you have change management and integrity of the system. If you do not record changes, you lead yourself down a very...
It's my boy Clay right there, Semper Fi, brother. Folks, are you tracking what's going on yet? Let's keep going. OMG, President Trump cuts off and walks out of a Kristen Walker interview. He looks her in the eyes and tells her she's a liar and then storms off.
Evidence than ever presented.
Let's talk
your
about
elections in this country. We're like a third world country. Your elections are crooked, and you're crooked, and Meet the Press is crooked, and so is ABC and CBS and CNN.
But Mr. President,
you're one-sided crooked networks. All right, let's call it quits because I've had enough. Thank you, darling. Have a good time.
Mr. President, let's please. I traveled all the way to Wisconsin.
I've sat in the rain with you.
I know.
I've sat in the rain with you for an hour, on and off in the rain, and I've given you enough time. You ought to straighten out your press because you know what?
Mr. President,
a country can never be great with a dishonest
Listen,
press.
we traveled all the way to Wisconsin for this interview. I spoke with President.
you didn't speak with no one. You pissed off the president and he put you in your place. The president is no longer in the position of the closing of his last presidency, to where the media had the power to shut down Trump. You're an election denier. Oh, sir, if what you saw there, because remember, yes, there's information that's being put out. Yes, there's psychological operations that are being put out, but there's also perceptions that have to be changed or adapted. And what you're seeing there, in my opinion, is the president, the one who before kind of submitted to the media as far as they were the ones that were kind of controlling that narrative, even though he had opposition to that narrative, to now him saying, no, I'm in control. This interview's done. There is fraud. You're lying. You guys are all pieces of shit to lying to the American people, and you're destroying this country because I'm telling you there's fraud. I'm out. He asserted dominance over the propaganda mockingbird machine. And that resonates with people because of what's coming. Let's keep going. Y'all know I'm smiling like hell because I'm pumped up right now. Bringing it back to Eric again. Justin, the Supreme Court is now on the verge of striking down state laws like California, who allow a flood of mail-in ballots after Election Day. Take a listen.
Yeah, it is. And listen, the world is watching very closely, but we all remember this is the way California does things. It's the reason so many House votes weren't, those races weren't called for days, for weeks in some cases. And California just says we're doing this very meticulously and just kind of give us our space. But even the Washington Post, which is not a conservative outlet, said, listen, this is a damning indictment against blue state politics, the way that you guys are handling this. That's from the Washington Post.
Yeah, actually, in the case of Pratt, who also is now, we're seeing, ballots coming back. Nithya Raman, she actually conceded a few days ago, like 4 days ago, and now suddenly she's up.
Yeah, and these keep tightening. And what we're told is, listen, a lot of these are mail-in ballots. They're going to come in later. Those tend to be more progressive. And apparently people held on to them to the last minute, California says. And again, California mails ballots to every single eligible voter out there. And so you've got millions of people who may be sitting on them. We don't know if they're coming back. So there's a lot of uncertainty built into this stuff with California. And by the way, the Supreme Court, we're waiting on an opinion from them about how long you can actually accept ballots in mail-in ballots after Election Day.
Right.
So might impact this.
Why can't you just say the election is this date? If your ballot's not in by this date, it's done.
Or take the day off for work, have it, make it a holiday.
Absolutely.
Or if you're going to use a mail-in, just at least come up with a cutoff window. In some places, it's, well, we're just going to give it a good faith presumption if we can't tell the postmark on it, that kind of thing. I think for a lot of people, red, blue, whatever, wherever you are, they just want to think our votes are clean.
And also to make sure you keep your voter rolls clean, because if you're sending ballots to people who haven't lived in the state in a long time, then that just raises all kinds of opportunities for mischief.
Yeah, like I said, if you're mailing them out to millions of voters, whether they want them or not, whether they still live there, whether they're still alive, if there are people who want to get up to no good, you would think they're going to try to find ways to do that. And they have, also drop boxes there that are not the Postal Service.
Right.
Why have drop boxes separate from the Postal Service? If you're going to go to the effort to, drop something in a drop box, why not just mail it? I don't know. I mean, I think, a lot of questions.
Just to divert real quick, because we did get a super chat that came in over there on YouTube from Daniel Whitley 2029, $2 super chat, says U.S. helicopter down in the Strait of Hormuz. So I wanted to go and see what I could find for you guys to expand or corroborate that information. And yes, a little while ago it was reported a U.S. Army Apache helicopter went down near the Strait of Hormuz on June 8th, 2026, though both crew members were safely rescued. The craft was an Army Apache gunship involved in SETCOM operations. Both pilots, again, rescued safely. The cause remains unclear if the helicopter was shot down by Iranian fire, experienced a mechanical failure, or crashed due to other environmental or operational factors. So, they're just saying they don't know what the hell's going on. New York Times says the incident is currently under investigation by the U.S. military. So there's the update on that. So thanks, Daniel, for throwing that super chat. And while we're there, I'll give a little love over there to Captain Willie Grimm 338, who became a member over there on YouTube. And since we're there, let's give some love to some of the Rumble rants that came over here on Rumble. Let's see. Dollar for dollar, Rory McGill 78 says, Alpha, first, God bless you. Second, thank you. And finally, what are your views with your Leo background on anonymous sources versus the Sixth Amendment of the Constitution? I'm fine with anonymous sources throughout the investigation up until the point where it gets to our courtroom. At that point, nothing's anonymous. The second you start running through with the court case into trial, defendant needs to know all the information. It is discovery. I do not believe in discovery with an asterisk. If in, like what I've talked a lot about on this case is if there's RICO cases going on, like what Tulsi Gabbard has been doing, then you don't charge or arrest that low-hanging fruit, because you already know that low-hanging fruit, when they go to court, they're entitled to discovery. So again, absolutely and 100% behind the use of anonymous sources for the purposes of pointing you in the right direction. When you want to put that information onto actual paperwork and investigations, then I start to lose confidence in anonymous sources. I think it needs to be something that needs to be that you can authenticate. I think it needs to be an actual confidential informant or a source that's on record, something that their credibility has been measured. And again, so that can become a part of discovery as well. But again, whether it's anonymous or an actual CI, once that thing hits a courtroom, that information needs to be made available to the defendant. How it started, how it was found, what was done with it, and the impact that it had on the case. So hopefully that answers you, Rory. $20 coming in from ZBM. Dude, you didn't have to do that. Thank you. I have no clue how to describe my issues to my doctor, and even he, who is a well-educated ND naturopath, is puzzled on how to help me out. Thank you. Yeah, we'll connect. We'll connect, ZBM. So again, I'll be checking for that email tomorrow. $17 coming in from Miss Ray, a freedom fighter. Some encouragement. Alpha, love you. Thank you. Prefer the rumble rants over you making fun of my math skills. But I think I'm math pretty good today. So let's keep going with the show, folks. Let me get back to where I was. All right, here we go. So BDW says, former CIA officer here. Now, for the record, I found this one very interesting. I didn't have a chance to go and start vetting this account or profile to see if I could actually pinpoint whether they were or not. But nonetheless, the information was still pretty dang interesting. So let me just read and you'll see what I'm saying. Let me share how elections get stolen and the role of intel agencies. We all know that the CIA and NSA create, execute clandestine operations that are designed to go undetected. That ranges from recruiting human spies, tapping phone systems, and altering devices of all kinds. Yes, that necessarily includes voting machines. The CIA and NSA have teams to execute all of these operations and missions at the direction of a president, even those ops that are deemed impossible, like machines locked in rooms that are inside secure facilities, unhooked from the internet or whatever device that could tether them to the outside world. Those tough intel operations require extensive planning, exquisite tradecraft, supporting operations, human intelligence, signal intelligence, mass intelligence, and a degree of luck. For many years, everything that I'm saying was understood by both Democrats and Republicans on Capitol Hill. Historic footage from congressional hearings show both D's and R's saying that they were alarmed about voting systems with so-called unhackable machines. They knew then correctly that such a suggestion or claim was ridiculous. They were briefed by the NSA and CIA teams on how they hack the unhackable every month without leaving a trace. Just to pause here real quick to go back to Clay Parikh, the clip that I was showing you guys, and he referenced Serbia. Some of you are like, why does Serbia sound familiar to me? That goes back to a show that I did quite some time ago, probably 3 years ago, 2 years. It was a long time ago, but it was based off of Sheriff Darleaf that I came across. This was before his name became very popular or recognized in our movement. And I started looking into one of his, I think it was either his deputies or one of the DAs that he was working with, but came across an email, and that email was tied to communications between someone from, it was Dominion and somebody in Serbia, and asking for these passwords. So again, he was putting that out, and listen, shout out to Sheriff Darleaf for having some cojones that he wanted to bring this out into the open. He was showing that these things that supposedly there was no way to get remote access were literally emails of people talking about getting remote access, and some of them were from Serbia. So again, is that what Clay's talking about? I don't know. I haven't talked to Clay about that. I would speculate probably, or if not that specific situation, I would say that the way it unfolded were probably similar in tactics. But again, just want to remind you guys of that. So let's keep reading now. This is why Taiwan and others are resolute on conducting elections the old-fashioned way. Same-day voting only, in-person, IDs, paper ballots, a counting process that is open to the public to watch and monitor, and results announced that same night. How amazing that primitive voting is more efficient and faster than these complicated machines we're using in California. If Taiwan can do it with 24 million people, any U.S. state can do it. Refusal to do so is an intentional choice to open your electoral systems to vulnerabilities. That's what we're seeing now across the United States and primarily in the Democrat-dominated locals, including Los Angeles. Those politicians chose broken systems. California's 30-day process to tally votes is obviously and intentionally vulnerable that a reasonable person understands that it allows for manipulation and assured electoral outcome by dominant power, Democrats in this case. Now, what I find interesting here is I recognize the way certain words are used in writing. And again, this person identifies as former CIA, but there's definitely some law enforcement experience, knowledge, or legal knowledge and experience. And why? Because when he makes the statement, 30-day process to tally votes is obviously and intentionally vulnerable that a reasonable person understands. A reasonable person is a standard that we use in the law enforcement and in the judicial system. That's not something that you're taught or you learn in the operator field or in, different fields. That is something that's going to fall into, like I said, law enforcement or judicial. Now, maybe in the intelligence world, I don't have the background in that to say maybe they do talk about that same line. But again, that caught my attention regarding this write-up. So let's keep going. And like any good intel op, you do it in such that there are no fingerprints left behind, whether that be with machines, mail-in ballots, harvested ballots, etc. If you own the ops environment, anything is possible. Still, mistakes happen in any op. In the event of disclosure, you do what we often see Democrats and all the media do: deny, smear, and make counter accusations to preserve intentionally broken systems. Folks, this is not about Spencer Pratt. 100% agree. This is about the future of what's left of our republic. I would change that sentence to this is about what Trump's about to do in a few weeks. Evil, seditious forces have broken our electoral systems and gained great power using them. Mayor Bass is but one, using the machine that her Democrat Party has built to sustain her in the leftist power. It's the modern Golden State version of old Chicago, New Jersey, and Huey-Long corruption. They will deny it, obviously, because admission means loss of power, money, and likely prison time. There's no incentive for them to clean up what's broken. And at the end of the show, you're going to see exactly what the potential outcome could be. Bottom line, Mr. Pratt's earnest desire to run a righteous race to fix his city faces long odds. He didn't just run against Karen Bass. He ran against a corrupt machine. This is something over the last few weeks I've talked about as the mechanism. But if nothing else, he has shown his fellow Angelinos and the nation that once again, we have an existential problem in our electoral system with intentional vulnerabilities and electoral fraud that naturally flows from the brokenness. Now it's up to the rest of us to fix it. 100% agree with that. There are solutions, none easy or polite, but we must do so, and by whatever means necessary, or the republic falls to communists and Cuba-trained agitators like Karen Bass. Those are the stakes. Time is short. Now, this last part that he wrote did scream CIA to me, because it's very borderline hinting towards maybe a kinetic response. And again, I know people argue, but our Constitution, our Declaration of Independence, I get it, folks. But again, you can't have a kinetic response when you don't know who the bad guys are. And if you think the bad guys are Karen Bass and Newsom and Pelosi, then you definitely haven't been watching this podcast. Those are the puppets. And so if you have a kinetic response to address the puppets, then all you do is, one, expend whatever tools you're using. You get what I'm saying. And two, get people hurt, lost, or arrested in the process. And you never even touch the people that pull the strings. which is why you see Trump in this white hat operation deploying the way they are. Minimize loss of life, minimize property damage, and make sure that American Republic perseveres. So we're not there yet. Let's keep going. General Flynn. At some point, President Trump, all elections, local, state, and federal, become a national security issue. The American people's loss of trust in the one thing that makes us equal at the same moment in time, our right to vote as legal citizens in a fair election system, is synchronicity. As you are well aware, that trust has been severely violated by radical elements inside of our various institutions of government, all levels on both sides of the aisle. This has to be resolved ASAP. And there's only one person, one position in our government that takes their oath of office that uses the word preserve. That would be you. At some point very soon, you are going to need to make a unilateral decision to preserve our Constitution by assuring the sanctity of our right to vote in a free and fair election process. Thank you for taking on the burden of the presidency and the pressures of the commander-in-chief. Now, if you heard what I just said, the preservation of life and minimizing the loss of property and preserving that this republic stands. What is General Flynn hinting at right here? The same thing that I've been hinting at for a very long time now. And I'm going to get more into this. The Save America Act most likely is not going to pass. We're going to see this race stolen from someone like Spencer Pratt. And we're going to see these investigations unfold. And we're going to see people arrested. You're going to see some information that's still coming up here regarding the elections. And all of that is going to bring us to a choke point, a fatal funnel when it comes to the elections that, again, is going to put everything in the hands of one man's decision. That man is President Trump. And he is going to make a decision that I'm 100% confident in that is going to lead to a quote-unquote constitutional crisis. And the reason people are going to try to sell it as a constitutional crisis is because most people are not going to understand the legalities of what he's doing. But you will, because I'm going to be here to walk you through the process, as well as a huge book that I'm working on that's going to articulate this, that you can share with other people and print. And it'll be free. General Flynn knows what's coming. And I know some of you have questioned some of his people that he is associated with because of their position on things. And you like to equate that as his position. But I will remind you that he also works and networks with people like myself and others who absolutely have a staunch support for President Trump. And so if you're going to say his association to these people is how he feels, then you got to be fair and say, well, people like Alpha and Josh and others also have this other one. Understand that if you're playing a game of bowling, you have the pins that are down the lane and you have gutters on either side. And if you go in there, you just throw the ball wildly, it can veer off into this gutter, it can veer off to that gutter, and all the speed in the world, then it's going to miss every pin. But if you raise those bumpers, then all of a sudden the ball can't go into the gutter. And so no matter how fast, no matter how erratic you throw the ball, it's going to bounce, it's going to bounce, it's going to bounce, it's going to bounce, but it's going to hit pins at the other end of that. Those bumpers are the extreme left and the extreme right under the control of white hats. When you control the rhetoric, you control its impact. It'll make more sense, I promise, folks. But let's stick to elections. Post 1197, April 19, 2018. Will election fraud be revealed soon? Yes, midterms are safe. Watch California. Post 2288, September 28, 2018. Every vote counts. Red October, midterm elections, red wave or red tsunami? Fight, fight, fight. Midterms. you're going to see an absolute obliteration November of 2026. And it's going to be because you guys are all going to be voting on paper ballots with IDs in one day. If I get one wrong, that would be the biggest one, because I'm telling you folks, that is how we're going to vote this November. Paper ballots, IDs, one day. The deployment of how that is going to happen, I'm still trying to navigate. Do I think it's going to involve the military? I do. Do I think it's going to involve the military as in they're controlling the precincts and all that? That I have some hesitation in. I think it might be left to local authorities and local law enforcement, maybe collaborating with military. But I think military is going to play the role of actually collecting these ballots and votes and doing the actual count. I think it's going to look something more like that. But again, it's going to bring into the conversation posse comitatus. It's going to bring into the conversation martial law. It's going to bring all these things in, and there's certain things that apply in order for the president to do it. We've done it throughout history. People just don't understand it. Again, a conversation for a little bit later in the future. Reverend Jordan Wells puts out breaking U.S. Attorney Bill Issa drops bombshell in California. My office has multiple election fraud investigations underway. Coordination with the FBI in Los Angeles. This is an update to kind of one of the things I read earlier. We're also working closely with Attorney General Harmeet Dillon on a full audit of California's voter rolls. The state has stonewalled every effort to ensure only eligible U.S. citizens are registered to vote. Benny Johnson puts investigative journalist Laura Logan drops bombshell, says U.S. went after Maduro because they rightly knew Venezuela was rigged. The 2020 election with Iran, the CCP claims an eyewitness is in custody. Now, where did you guys hear that from? Let's take a listen.
And with all due respect, I say this. The Trump administration went after Nicolas Maduro in Venezuela because they rightly knew they had worked for 12 years on an indictment on Nicolas Maduro. Right? Venezuela was directly involved in the theft of the 2020 election. They stole that election from President Trump, working with Iran, working with the CCP, working with others. We know a lot of the details because there is a Venezuelan, very senior Venezuelan, sitting in prison who was actually a witness, an eyewitness to the theft. But what President Trump's administration did not do is they did not go after all the other people in Maduro's administration who were involved in the theft of the 2020 election. You know what they did instead? They took the woman, Delcy Rodriguez, the vice president under Maduro, and they made her the president. And that is because, from what I understand from people dealing with this firsthand, that's because, among others, the intelligence agencies were convincing the president, oh, you can't risk having the regime collapse in Venezuela, that's going to hurt you, and so on. Delcy Rodriguez and her brother Jorge Rodriguez, who presided over the theft of the 2020 election, are 100% complicit in the theft of elections in 72 countries worldwide. You want to know why President Trump doesn't get the support that he needs from a country like Spain? Because the cartel in Venezuela, the cartel that runs the country, Cartel de los Soles, they selected the Spanish prime minister. Why does America get all this heat from all over the world? Because the globalist, Marxist, Islamist alliance that has these cartels as their army, they all work together. So we don't face one enemy. The election in LA, the corruption there, the corruption in the system, this isn't about one enemy. This is about all of America's enemies working together. And all of those illegal immigrants in that sanctuary state of California who not only distort California's representation in the House, but who also they're on juries, so they're involved in the criminal justice system. I mean, all of these people, what they're doing is they are diminishing citizenship. They want to take your individual sovereignty and your national sovereignty, and they want to make it mean nothing. And that's what they're in the presence of doing, in the process of doing. And what did they do at the same time? They imported the most violent people from Venezuela's prisons. Do you see, Benny, how these things line up? You know, Smartmatic and Venezuela being involved in the theft of the election is only one part of it. Flooding the country, Tren de Aragua is the cartel everyone knows about. They're like the ultra-violent army, sort of the dumb guys that do all the violence for the Venezuelans. Literally they were created by going into Venezuela's prisons and recruiting the most violent people and creating this organization that is a paramilitary force. It is a violent, armed, trained paramilitary force that was infiltrated into out towns and cities. And these are the people that are in front of the ICE detention centers and helping to fuel the protests. So you have them, they fight on every single front. Elections is one front. It's only one. And the idea that you can have a Marxist, when Marxism has forced out 8 million Venezuelans, has failed people worldwide, has been responsible for the death of how many people worldwide, and we are still glorifying it and glamorizing it. And where does much of that propaganda come from? It comes from the city of Hollywood, comes from the city of LA, coming out of Hollywood. So these things are tied together, and you can't fight on one front. You have to fight on every front, and you can't pretend that LA is just a city in the west, on the West Coast. No, what happens in the state of California is actually tested there, and then it's proliferated all over the country.
So we said was the combat operation with Maduro, was that a capture or was that a rescue? And is Maduro providing President Trump and our military guys and FBI everything they need to know to understand what the CIA and the military intelligence apparatus of the cabal was doing and how it was using Venezuela as a hub, as kind of what Laura Logan was explaining there? It's game time now, folks. Let's keep going. Anna Paulina Luna says, and this is where we're going to kind of shift into bringing the election part into a landing. I told you it was going to be the long part of the show tonight, and I hope you understand why. It's very important. She puts, the Save America Act needs to be passed. Senate is currently working a deal with the House to move bills in both chambers without passing voter ID. Every House member should be a no until they move the Save America Act. So again, you have Congresswoman Anna Paulina Luna that's bringing out the Save America Act needs to be passed. Who else is doing it? You have Mega Voice reporting, breaking. Elon Musk just told his 240 million followers that the only way to save democracy is to pass the Save America Act. The only way to save democracy in America. Mega Voice says, I absolutely agree. So you have Congresswoman Anna Paulina Luna that's putting out the Save America Act. You have Elon Musk, who owns arguably the largest or one of the largest social media platforms in the world, telling people that the Save America Act needs to pass in order to save democracy, our republic. Real Robert puts, here it is. U.S. Press Secretary Caroline Leavitt, congratulations on the new baby they had. I'm happy to provide you all the evidence. Governor Gavin Newsom is under criminal review for signing up illegal aliens to vote through his criminal conspiracy AB.557 universal mail-in ballots. Pass the SAVE Act. Take a listen to this, folks. And of course, hold on. All right, let's reset this up. Let me go full screen with me. Since that one's not working, we're going to do it old school. I'm just going to bring up the tab for you guys. So just give me 1 second because I want you guys to hear this one. It's important. Just got to do it the old way. All right, let me bring it back on the screen for you. All right, now take a listen. Hopefully you guys should be able to hear this. You guys want to give me some 5x5s?
Whom and why? And also, in this vein, does the White House still plan to issue an executive order banning mail-in voting, and what legal authority do you have to do that?
The White House is working on an executive order to strengthen our elections in this country and to ensure that there cannot be blatant fraud, as we've seen in California with their universal mail-in voting system. It's absolutely true that there's fraud in California's elections. It's just a fact. It is just a fact. They have a universal mail-in voting system, which we know is ripe for fraud. And if you want to deny that, I'm happy to provide you all of the evidence for it. I'd be glad to send that to you after this briefing.
Rigged.
Fraudulent ballots that are being mailed in the names of other people, in the names of illegal aliens who shouldn't be voting in American elections. There's countless examples, and we'd be happy to provide them. As for executive action the White House is taking, yes, we are looking into that. And like any executive order, of course, any executive order the president signs is within his full executive authority and within the confines of the law.
All right. So now let me bring this one off real quick, folks, and get this situated back to the normal way I do it. Bear with me 1 second. All right, we're back to normal. And let me get to the next one. This is the last one, our election stuff. Real Robert also brings, here it is, Vladimir Putin. Hillary Clinton tried to overthrow the U.S. government in the 2016 election by saying Trump colluded with me. In the 2020 election, they overthrew the U.S. government with mail-in ballots. The expression of the people's will is democracy. So this is translated, but let me play it for you guys.
But the people inhabiting these territories, you know that even better than me, have always identified themselves as nothing but as a part of Russia. That's why the voting results were like that. This is an obvious thing. That's why the voting results were like this. I always talk about this. Nobody can force you to come to the polling station. Probably everything can be rigged, just like the previous US elections were rigged through mail voting. It is clear that it was voting by mail. They bought ballots for $10, filled them in, and without any supervision from observers, they threw them into mailboxes, and that's it. But it's impossible to force someone to come. You can't force anyone at gunpoint. If people didn't want to, they simply wouldn't have come to the polling stations, that's all. This is called voting with your feet, that's all. Here they came and voted. What is this other than democracy? The expression of the people's will is democracy.
So, why is that important with Putin? Well, one, he got thrown into the mix with Russia, if we go all the way back to 2016. Two, that's tied into the RICO case that Tulsi Gabbard has done and probably completed. But it's also an indicator to the sovereign alliance that's in place, right? Not to be mistaken with the deep states that still are operating out of these countries, although I think Putin's the first one to probably almost completely eradicate the deep state from his country. And then to the last point with Anna Paulina Luna, with the press secretary, with Elon Musk pushing that Save America Act. It goes to what I kind of said a little bit earlier when I got ahead of myself, is Trump needs the court of public opinion to be 100% behind demanding the Save America Act. As all this election fraud comes to the surface, and we're going to have more coming about the CCP, trust me on that one, you'll see it. You're going to see election fraud start to surface based off what we're talking about in Venezuela. Trust me, you're going to hear it. You're going to see the stuff that's coming from Serbia and maybe Germany and some of these other countries. We're all going to see this, and it's all coming to this. Again, timing is everything as we approach this fatal funnel choke point. And at that same time, we're all going to be like, well, of course, those jackasses like Thune are going to pass the Save America Act, because look at everything we just been shown. They stole it from Spencer Pratt. They did this. Like, look at, of course they're going to pass it. And then it's not going to pass. And that's the triggering mechanism that Trump needs. But there's two things that Trump needs. He needs that triggering mechanism, but it needs to be connected. You can't have one without the other. It needs to be connected with the demand from the court of public opinion. So if Thune and them trigger it by not passing it, the court of public opinion, and Trump now has the perfect formula for what he's going to do next. So with that, that ends our election part. As I told you, it was going to be a long one. You guys, let me know what you think down in the comments. If you still have some questions on some of the stuff that we talked about on the elections, leave it in the comments. I do review that stuff. And then sometimes I'll address it on the show. or sometimes I'll address it in the comments. You guys have seen them. Speaking of the comments, I should have made a note to remind myself, but this made me remember. There are accounts, just if you guys don't know, I want to make sure you do know, there are accounts that will go and make dummy accounts that look like my show. It'll be like the AlphaWarrior Show, but they use a 0 instead of an O, or a 1 instead of an I, or they'll do some type of manipulation to it, and then they'll go in the comments and say, hey, come to this Discord channel, or come to this Telegram channel, or come to this channel. And they make it look legit. I've seen them. It looks like my logo. It looks legit. And then you go over there and they start telling you about, hey, buy some cryptocurrency or do this. I'm telling you guys right now, I will never solicit you guys in the comments for anything. So if you see any AlphaWarrior account in the comments that's asking you for your email, that's asking you for your phone number, or telling you to go to a separate site, that is not me. I have one website, all right? AlphaWarrior.tv, the AlphaWarriorShow.tv, they go to the same location, all right? That is it. So I'm never going to tell you to communicate outside of on a different platform. It will never happen. So if somebody's out there trying to get you to provide financial information, or just regular identifying information, don't do it. And if you have a question, well, this looks so legit, then email me. Email me at alpha@thealphawarriorshow.tv, and I will tell you, oh yeah, that's mine, or it's not. It's not. If you want to know what links are mine, whether you're watching on Substack, YouTube, Rumble, whatever platform, you go down the description, it has all the links. If you are somebody that's like, I want to send you money though, I ain't going to argue. I could definitely use that help. Those links are down there. PayPal links, Venmo links, Give-Send-Go links, all that's there. Again, I will never solicit you guys in the comments. And for those of you that have brought that to my attention, thank you. When that happens, report those. I try to keep track of them as much as I can. And Rumble and YouTube are pretty good at taking them down quickly. But, they could do a lot of damage in a couple hours or a couple days. All right, so now we're going to shift gears from elections into some of the people that have kind of been pushing certain narratives. And who are they and what are they really about? Well, let's talk about one of these first ones. Erica C47 puts out, find out that 99% of libertarians are this way. By the way, the big tent was needed for 2024, but time to drop these opportunistic grifters like the trash that they are. She's talking about the jackass former comic David Smith, because the dude ain't funny no more. He goes, I don't support closed borders. And I was very critical of police throughout 2020, and specifically their violence against peaceful protesters. If you don't listen to my show, that's fine, but stop lying. Again, these are the people that align with Thomas Massey. These are the people that align with MTG. These are the people that have been claiming America First, claiming MAGA. And look at what he's saying. I don't support closed borders. These are fucking socialists. Forget libertarian. These are straight socialists. This is who they are. And think of the people that's in their circles. Like who? Mario Nafal puts, Nick Fuentes just went off on the latest Axios leak about Trump and Netanyahu, which we'll be talking about towards the end of the show. According to the report, Trump called him up and unloaded. So let's take a listen to Nick, because like I said, we're going to get into that conversation later. But here's Nick.
Axios is reporting that Trump had a very terse phone call with Netanyahu. Trump called him up and he let him have it. Trump said, what the fuck are you doing? You're invading Lebanon. You're going to make everyone hate Israel. How could you do this? I got you out of jail. You owe me. This is literally the conversation. And then this story about the conversation was planted in the press today. And we are all supposed to believe that Trump is very unhappy with Netanyahu. And you know what is the punchline about this? This is exactly what Joe Biden did throughout 2024. You might remember when the genocide was ongoing in Gaza, when it was the most intense that it ever was, Biden was begging Netanyahu to stop. Please stop killing them. Please, it's ruining my presidency. Please, you're costing us the election. And Netanyahu refused. Netanyahu was taking foreign aid with both hands, and then he was doing whatever he wanted to do. And so what Biden would do in response is he would leak these types of stories, exactly this, to the Washington Post. And so every month you would get a story. Biden and Netanyahu had a very bad phone call. Biden said, listen up, Jack. We are not happy. And this just goes to show the impotence of the United States. We can do nothing. This is all we can do to Israel. Israel is 100% dependent on us. We are fighting their wars. Our president is doing personal and political favors for this government, and we cannot get them to do anything. Our economy is about to fucking explode. We're talking about gas shortages in September. Okay? We are running out of fuel. It's over. It's already over. Even if the Strait opens tomorrow, it's over. The economy's crashing. We're running out of gas. Trump is trying as hard as he can, I believe, to end the conflict, and Netanyahu won't do it. There is nothing we can do to change the situation. This is what we have to resort to. We have to go and gossip to Axios, which is like a third-rate public. I read it every day. And I know some people there. Some of the journalists there talk to me, and some of them are okay. But this is not even like the Washington Post. It's not the Journal. You're talking to Axios saying, hey, could you guys tell everybody that Netanyahu is not cool? Trump and his aides are calling up Axios. Hey, listen, you got to get the word out. Trump and Netanyahu are not cool. They just had a very bad phone call. It is not okay. Because we can do nothing else. We can't take their money. We can't sanction them. We can't put a blockade on their economy. All we could do is bitch on the phone to this guy and then tell the press. That's the dynamic.
Speaking of dynamics, let me tell you a little bit about this piece of shit. One, he has an America First hat, and he's already acknowledged that he's going to vote Democrat, and he's telling his people to vote Democrat. Yeah. Two, this is their strategy. If Trump goes to Israel, if he has a meeting with Netanyahu or whatever the case is, they say he's owned. Then if Trump says that there's an argument with Netanyahu, then these people say, oh, it's kayfabe, it's fake. So if you realize, no matter what position Trump takes, they're always going to manipulate the narrative to psyop their audiences. This is why I was one of the first, if not the first, and I would argue the first, to call out Jake Shields, Nick Fuentes, Candace Owens, Dan Bilzerian. Called them out a very long time ago when it wasn't, quote unquote, safe to do so. And all of a sudden you had some people in MAGA that wanted to finally open their mouths, stop being chicken shits. Let's keep going. You're going to get more pissed off, I promise. Erica puts out, Joe Kent is now a commissioned paid writer for Responsible Statecraft, the magazine for the Quincy Institute. The Quincy Institute is co-founded by George Soros and Koch brothers. Understand their intent is for America's foreign policy to be reoriented into a state of weakness. No more superpower. The word multipolarity comes to mind. Quincy is also co-founded by Iranian lobbyist Trita Parsi. So one must wonder if Joe Kent is more than just a freelance writer paid by none other than George Soros. Let's take a look at these images right here. There it is. Responsible Statecraft, online magazine of the Quincy Institute, promoting diplomacy and military restraint. Then you look over here, major supporters of George Soros is a billionaire investor and leading funder of left-of-center advocacy groups and campaigns. He is the founder of Open Society Foundations, which provides financial support to the Quincy Institute. But you remember when I told you guys, I said, Joe Kent, he's playing a role. Some of you are, listen, you know I love y'all, but you know I'm going to be honest. Some of you are so fucking lazy that you want to call everything a psyop and everyone a role player. And I think for some people, not you guys, I think a lot of you fall victim to a lot of these people because you've learned to trust them. But a lot of these people, especially people that are reading the boards, they're so afraid of these people being bad guys that it's just easier to say, oh, they're playing a role. You'll see. There are some people playing roles, and we've called them out. And there's some people that just aren't, and we've called them out. So again, there's the facts, folks. That ain't even the one that's going to piss you off, though. MTG tells you to use sway.co. Fun fact. Sway is founded by Ari Partovi. Partovi is an Iranian Democrat donor. He also donated to Thomas Massie. He created Sway to reimagine democracy. It's okay to recognize the op. How much is MTG being paid? And there you have her on this post. Go to Sway to tell your friends and your contracts. You have Ali Partovi over here. I just voted using sway.so. I feel so awesome. That's not even the one that's really going to piss you off. This one is. Now, Stu Peters posted this, and Thomas Massie reposted Stu Peters. And Thomas Massie wrote, "What's MAGA now? Question mark." Now, I want you to listen to this conversation between Megyn Kelly and Sean Ryan. And I want you to remember that Thomas Massie didn't say, hey, that's only some people or that's the politicians. No, he reinforced it with, what is MAGA now? Now let's take a listen to something that is going to really piss you off.
There is, what's core MAGA now?
I have no idea.
I think I know. Trump has said from the beginning...
Pedophile supporting Israeli lobby? Well, I have no idea.
Need a different acronym. But Trump has said from the beginning that he defines what MAGA is. MAGA is what I say it is, he has said. And he's not wrong. It's his moniker. It's his campaign slogan. And all along, he's defined what is and is not MAGA. And he told me personally, MAGA will feel the way I want them to feel. I'll tell them how to feel about this, that, or the other thing. And they will. And he has been totally right on that. The problem for Trump now is that he has defined MAGA literally to those who agree with Mark Levin. If you don't agree with Mark Levin, you're not MAGA, which means you must be a neocon whose main issue is what's in the best interest of Israel. And that defines MAGA down to nothing. It's a nub. So what's that? It's not large. It's not important. It's not cool. It's not appealing to young people. It has no future. Much like Mark Levin himself, it's old, it's angry, and it's dying. And so those are the people who, like, the die-hard loyalists who will just feel the way Trump wants them to feel are the ones who are harassing you for saying what you think about Thomas Massie. They're entitled to their opinion, but they do not represent the Republican Party. They don't represent the right, and they definitely don't represent the future.
And Massie reposted it. She said the core of MAGA, and Sean Ryan said it, and she acknowledged it, right? We need a better acronym. Sean Ryan says that the core of MAGA is pedophile protectors and supporters. That's what he's calling people like me and you. And Thomas Massie says, what are they now? That we're defined by those that support Mark Levin. He's a tool. And people are buying off on this. I love my brother Viva Fry. Shout out Viva. Gave my story a voice. We've had some good banter on social media, but he even approached me. He's like, oh, so Mark Levin's MAGA? And I said, no, he's a tool. I go, Mark Levin is as much MAGA as Candace Owens. He never responded. Don't let these people tell you what MAGA is. These clowns don't know. I want to remind you guys of this. I went and grabbed it while the video was playing. Devil's Google, Red Seat Ventures. Why does that matter? Because we go to Red Seat Ventures, creators, brands, CrimeCon, creator technology, advertise with us. But let's go here to news and commentary. And who are the first two that pop up? Tucker Carlson and Megyn Kelly. And let's go over here to it says, what do we do? Click on services. What does Red Seed Ventures do? They even have Megyn Kelly right there. Content strategy. What should we be creating? Well, I thought Megyn Kelly and Tucker Carlson created their own content. Distribution strategy. Where should the content live and how do the platforms feed off each other? Oh, maybe that's why Tucker and Megyn have a great working relationship. Financing. Red Seed Ventures funding startup costs and or supporting an external raise. Oh, so you pay these people too. Oh, that's nice. Editorial support, staffing up shows and daily production. Well, that's all interesting. Now, you guys remember Tucker Carlson left Fox News to go independent? Well, did Tucker ever come out and say, hey, I work with Red Seed Ventures? I haven't found it, and I looked for it. But here's what's even more interesting. Guess who bought Red Seed Ventures in February? Fox Corporation. So Megyn Kelly and Tucker are all right back under Fox Corporation. Now, why does this matter, Alpha? Because if we go all the way back to Elon announcing that he was going to buy Twitter, I believe it was 2 or 3 months later, Tucker Carlson announced that he was leaving Fox. Well, I don't get what you're saying here, Alpha. When the deep state realized that they were no longer going to have control over social media, Twitter, to be able to ban us, deplatform us, suspend our accounts, when they realized they were no longer going to be able to control one of the largest mechanisms of propaganda and information warfare, which was then known as Twitter, they had to redeploy their forces for a new strategy. So these people went independent to fit into the trend of alt media, knowing that they would always come full circle right back and always be trained and supplemented by them anyways. And in this case, Red Seed Ventures. So brings us to this part now. Blake Neff. You can easily find footage of ActCon on this very website, and the event obviously looks completely different. Try harder. Well, what's he talking about? He's right here. He's quote posting Real America's Voice, How to Win in 2024. Charlie Kirk discusses how placing ballots chasers in key states will guarantee a conservative victory. This is back in July 15th of 2023. But if we scroll all the way, it's because of this. Blake Neff. Well, what do you do now? So let's play this video.
The most important relationship in your life is the one that you have with your Lord and Savior, Jesus Christ. His passion was my passion, and now his mission is my mission.
I appoint my wife to run Turning Point USA if something happens to me. Erica would do a great job.
So they go and they play, if you weren't paying attention to that last part of the clip, Charlie Kirk coming out and saying, I want my wife to run Turning Point USA. She'd do a great job. And you had Candace Owens and everybody that simps for her. And I know some of you are guilty of simping for her. I still got love for you. You're going to see the light. Play the audio. Play the audio from the event out in, I believe it was Colorado, for the donors. It was a private donor event. Play it. We need the evidence. So Eric and TPUSA come in. They drop the mic. And of course, we all said, when she does it, you guys are going to accuse it of AI and you're all just going to talk shit anyways, which they did. However, they screwed up. But they didn't screw up too much because they know the remaining parts of their base and simps are lazy. If includes you, I'm sorry, but the truth hurts sometimes, are lazy. And so when they did this, Community Notes, because we know it's been weaponized, came out and said, oh, this video is AI, because Charlie, that he didn't say that's not the private donor event. That's from ActCon of 2023. And it went viral amongst the simping class for Candace Owens. Viral. Oh, they got caught. They got to do AI. When all they had to do was just go look up the event of ArtCon 2023, and they would have saw a completely different background. This is what Blake is referencing here. You go to the website and you find it. As opposed to this one, which you have donors from the event that came out and said, I was at the event. That's absolutely what Charlie said, and that's absolutely the background. But again, people don't do their own homework. And then they get caught in the turmoil of spreading that, which brings us to the last part of this segment. Thomas Massie told TMZ that him and Marjorie Taylor Greene have a plan to take over the Republican Party. I actually think that's the most honest thing that he has said. I think they absolutely came in to divide and conquer. So let's take a listen to what Massie says. I don't even know if I'm going to play the whole thing because it just gets me irritated. But here you go.
Hi, I'm from TMZ DC. It's nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you too.
Hey, that's not bad.
Thanks.
I could see a future career in acting. Maybe your next chapter could be in Hollywood. I wanted to ask you, I saw photos of you and Brian Glenn and Marjorie Taylor Greene down in Costa Rica.
Mm-hmm.
How was that? What were you up to?
We were having a good time. We went fishing. We had a few margaritas. It was, and I got to talk to Marjorie about what life is like on the outside. And frankly, I'm not disappointed. I'm disappointed for our country that I won't be here and I won't be fighting. But personally, I think my mental and physical state of health will be much better on the outside. And it doesn't mean that I'm going to be quiet. Marjorie and I talked about things that I can't tell you here in terms of where the party's going and what we think it needs to be doing.
Look, I mean, a lot of people think you guys are cooking something up, you know, an America First, 2028, some sort of run. Would she make a good running mate, hypothetically?
I don't know that she wants to do that.
Okay.
She's got her finger on the pulse, though, of what MAGA was promised and what they still want and where they've been betrayed. And I think hers is an important voice going forward, whether she runs for office or whether she's advising people who do run.
I know you haven't made a decision or haven't announced a decision yet, but you know, if you did run, do you think like some sort of centrist sort of candidate who can get votes on both sides, is that something do you think the country would be into at this stage in our history?
I think people just want somebody who's honest and doesn't lie to them and keeps their promises. And we haven't seen that in Washington, D.C. I tried that track, and $30 million was spent against me running AI ads, that weren't true, obviously. But I think there's still an appetite for that, and it's not particularly partisan. I've had people, Democrats, who come up to me and say, look, I only agree with you maybe 20% of the time, but I know you're fighting and I appreciate what you're doing. And they support me for things like releasing the Epstein files or opposing this next war. And there are people out there who are just hungry for somebody who doesn't come up here and lie, who doesn't come up here and take the money from the lobbyists and the foreign interests, somebody who just comes up here and says what they'll do, whether it costs you a re-election or not.
So do you and Marjorie have plans of some description?
We haven't ruled anything out.
Okay. Okay, interesting. I think
we made a lot of plans. We'll see how many of them we implement.
Did you catch a lot of fish?
We caught one big giant fish that I was very excited about.
Did you cook it up?
No, we didn't. I will go back down there and because I saw some tuna that were even jumping out of the water, and they don't normally do that. And I'd like to go down there and catch one of those tuna. But even that we wouldn't cook up. We'd eat it raw.
Did she give you some good advice about how to stay effective from the outside?
Yeah, she did, and she's still not implemented all of her plans, and I'm looking forward to seeing that.
So, there we go.
Yeah.
Look forward to your plans, man. Thank you very much. Cheers.
Now, how many of you noticed those vampire fangs when he was like, ah? Yes, I see you guys in the chat. You guys are noticing the fangs too. It caught my attention too. So I don't know if we need to go back to some of the old Temu Massies to find that. Speaking of Temu, Let me bring it up here on the screen. Waffles Bacon dropped us a $5 super chat, said Milk Bar did emo Sean Ryan, please play it, too funny. So I was looking for that while the Massey clip was playing, Waffles, and I couldn't find it. So if one of you guys wants to drop that link for me, if you can find the link, I'll play it. I'm in the mood for a good laugh. So this now transitions us into the next segment, but before we do, got another sponsor over here on Rumble that I haven't played in quite some time. So you're going to see a QR code populate right over my left shoulder right now any second. There it is. And again, if you're like, I don't see a QR code, because you got to get to Rumble, because if you went to Rumble, you would see it right about there. I want to share a quick story about a family supporting this channel. Their father had a rare form of cognitive decline due to his military service that made him unable to work. Their mother had to stop working too so that she could care for him. Their sons discovered new U.S. Library of Medicine studies on various mushroom blends that could significantly support cognitive function. So they began creating a complex mushroom supplement based on the research, not just to help their own family, but to help others. They nearly quit after multiple setbacks and having their first big batch stolen. Fast forward, now they speak at medical conventions nationwide. Their company is called Emerald Med, and their product massively supports brain, immune, blood, and heart function. Your cognitive function optimizes everything you do. You can get knees, heart, and kidneys replaced, but you can't get a new brain. So investing in the only brain you have for the rest of your life matters. If you want to support a company that supports our channel, plus free speech with their marketing, and you want to try a strong mushroom supplement, they have a deal for America's 250th. Just click the link below and use code for 30% off today. It's currently the most concentrated mushroom gummy in the U.S. It has up to 400 compounds and is rich in vitamins and minerals. With 6 formulas in one, it's like getting 6 supplements for the price of one. You can click the link below to try Emerald Med's mushroom gummies, 30% off today. You'll see that link down in the description. It'll also populate in the live chat for you guys. And with that, let me bring us back to stage, because now we're going to shift to another character. And this one has this one's really disappointed me, folks, to see some of the people that I have make some of the comments and remarks that they have. And it's the Hunter Biden part of the show. Hunter Biden returns. When I was doing the title, I was like, do I do, Hunter Biden's now MAGA? I was like, no, that's going to piss people off too much. I say Hunter Biden goes viral. I was just like, so I just, Hunter Biden returns. And let me zoom in on this again before someone yells at me. You see right there on the screen, this is on May 19th, 2026. Hunter Biden says, I'm Hunter Biden. You've never actually heard from me. I responded back with, you should have protected your sister. And I'm referencing Ashley Biden. The next post I want to bring up is he puts, it's showtime. I responded, nothing changes the evil you did. You can negotiate deals for yourself, but your soul is doomed. And then he puts this post. I've taken a lot of hits, and I've deserved some of them. I beat myself up over them more than you can imagine. But the grace people have shown me here is truly humbling. This part just, shit, that part irks me. Because he's not lying. But the grace people have shown me here. I have seen truthers, MAGA, America First. I expected from the liberals, the libertarians, Democrats, but I've seen people from our circles show this grace. Some of the kindest words have come from people you least expect. He's not lying about that either. And for that, I'm so grateful. This isn't about me. It's about every person in recovery who shows up and tries again. And to everyone still in the fight tonight, you are not alone. I see you. Let's keep going. Andre Truth puts out, what U.S. president was nicknamed Eagle by the U.S. Secret Service? Fly, Eagles, fly. And he's referencing Hunter Biden coming out on June the 5th saying a risk worth taking. And he puts fly, Eagles, fly. Now, for those of you that don't know, that was Bill Clinton. Here's where I'm going to tell people, use your discernment. You're going to have to use some educated judgment. All right. Now, I thought all day, how do I navigate this conversation without confusing people? And in the end, there's no real answer to do this without confusing people. So what I'm about to say is going to sound confusing for some until you just experience it and understand it. If I was a deep state operative, if Alpha was a deep state agent, and I wanted to infiltrate one of the largest, actionable, and important movements, I would first say, which are some of those movements? And I would say the Q community. They're huge. They're quasi-decentralized. They can make moves fast. They have impact. They're actionable. They're in every demographic. They're not isolated to just veterans, they're in every demographic. They're in every social environment. They're in every workforce. It's what makes the Q community so amazingly awesome. So if I was the deep state, I would be like, that's a community I want to infiltrate. Now, how would I infiltrate them? Well, I could do like, I can become an AlphaWarrior or Josh Reed and study the boards and take on a position of understanding and leadership and do these assessments and lead my audience. And that would work. And we've seen people have done that. But what if they said, you know what, I got one better. I'm going to pretend I'm part of the operation. I'm a very notable character. I'm Hunter Biden. I'm going to go and just create posts that line up with deltas, that line up with timestamps, that line up with very strategic words that were used in the community in order to start creating a facade like I'm part of it. And then I'll have some people in the community that are infiltrators that will help support this. And by no means am I saying MJ Truth is this, because he's not. I don't believe that. But I've seen others who have been doing this. I think the majority are doing it through air. I don't think they're doing it through nefarious means, but there are some that are. And so what I'm saying, folks, is we are now at a point in this battle where you can't say everybody is playing a role. You can't just say, oh, Hunter Biden. Here's what I will say. I will give you my personal opinion. Right? Do I think Hunter Biden got snatched up by the collar and they're completely controlling him, the good guys, and they're making him snitch and do deals and all this? Absolutely. Do I think that he deserves grace? Let me remind you guys of something. If you guys saw the Marco Polo documents, if you saw the laptop, then you'll remember Hunter Biden, a grown adult male, wearing a robe with his tallywhacker completely exposed and dangling, and a small child on the bed behind him. Fuck that guy. And so, if you guys want to interpret his position as trying to push certain information because he's controlled by the collar, have at it. But stop showing this guy grace because you want him to come out on your podcast, because you want him to interact with your posts. That's fucking disgusting. Yeah, I agree with, on second thought, 3 put out, a pedo is still a pedo. Agree with you 100%. Over there on Rumble. You know what? And on YouTube, Rebel Texan, he's a pedo. I absolutely agree with you. That's my opinion too, man. And so what I'm telling you folks is stop dropping your guard with some of these people. It's embarrassing and it's dangerous, because if you have influence on people who trust and believe you, they will adopt that mindset. And so let's keep going. Hunter Biden comes out and then says this: Thomas Massie is the best. I love that guy and probably disagree with at least half of his political positions, but he has so much integrity, and I know he loves this country. Now, folks, if I ever wanted to make the argument that Massey's not on our side, well, shit. I'm telling you, I'd never want an endorsement from Hunter, especially one on integrity. But here we are. Hunter Biden endorses Thomas Massie as the best. And yeah, he has so much integrity. Imagine Hunter Biden saying that you have integrity. Gunther puts this out. President Trump dropped another post about the deep state cover-up, the infamous letter signed by 51 intelligence officials that falsely smeared the Hunter Biden laptop as Russian disinformation right before the 2020 election was reportedly a coordinated lie to protect the Biden family. Now we have an ex-Intel official confirming it was a deliberate deception operation, and the DOJ has been asked to probe it. They told us the laptop was fake. Hunter Biden comes out and says, you guys are showing me grace, and people are falling for this shit all over again. And last one on the Hunter Biden one. Data Republican, small r. She's responding to this. Hunter Biden goes and puts a picture of the Trump family, Jr. I'm proud to own physical gold and silver inside my portfolio. Goldco, shout out Goldco. They're down in the description below if you want to contact them. Hunter Biden says, this is the type of shit that needs no words to troll itself. This is actually real. He's really posting infomercials plugging this. Using America's 250th anniversary too. More like as my dad tanks the economy as fast as he can. Nothing is more patriotic than getting your hands on some Don Jr. gold to celebrate America's 250th anniversary in case it's our last. Are we going to forget about Burisma? Are we going to forget about Joe Biden saying, I told them if they wanted that money, they better fire that prosecutor? We're going to forget about quid pro quo. God, someone help me here. I think quid pro quo. There you go. Say that thing 1,000 times too fast, too hard. But this is Hunter Biden. Anyways, Data Republican says, hello, Mr. Hunter Biden. You're getting 6-digit likes on every post lately. I don't have any hope to ratio or whatever through traditional hello means. But for those uninitiated, those who are captivated by your fake humble persona, obviously PR engineered to capture unsuspecting disaffected Republicans, you are not some humility witty guy turning over a new leaf. You are the ultimate proof of nepotism, everything that is so-called Epstein class is supposed to represent. Let me explain off the top of my head. You are a board member for USGLC, U.S. Global Leadership Coalition, the most powerful NGO that nobody's ever heard of. Last year, I took documented in several threads how Liz Schreier, USGLC lead, took credit for ramming through a $90 billion bill for Ukraine in 2024, even as Matt Van Swoll demonstrated that Western North Carolina got zero help in the aftermath of Hurricane Helen because FEMA threw up their hands and said that they had ran out of funds. USGLC arguably is the most powerful NGO that nobody has ever heard of. It includes a bunch of corporations, a bunch of nonprofit leads, and for some magical reason, I documented extensively linked that Liz Schreier started pursuing you in 2012. During the Obama years, when you were Biden's son, are you a former Secretary of State? No. Are you a CEO of a Fortune 500 company? No. That puts you below the average USGLC board member by a good tier. So what did get you on USGLC? The only reason that you were the son of a sitting vice president known for corruption, and you yourself were known for corruption. You are not folksy. You are the worst of the elite. Most of the elite at least get their credentials through Georgetown, George Washington, Harvard, Kennedy. You got yours purely on nepotism. Any photographs you have of yourself at motels is proof that you are so incompetent that you waste all your money. Not that you come from humble beginnings, because others like Marco Polo, 501c3, have thoroughly documented that you benefited a great deal from your nepotism. You even tried to bait those in with saying that you prefer to keep immigration legal. But we all know the trap that keeps illegal immigrants here. Outlaw deportations and make every immigrant case asylum. And magically, everyone who might have been here legally a few years ago is legal. You may get 175,000 likes on your semi-subverting PR design photographs, but those of us who know you're fake. This is a phenomenal post by Data Republican, small r. And that's how we'll close up the Hunter Biden segment. Hope you guys are all still with me. We're about 12 minutes away from that 3-hour mark. And I'm holding up good. And I think we can fly through this other stuff fairly quickly. So let's push on to this next segment and see if you guys can hang in there. If you joined late, do me a solid, smash the thumb, hit the heart, leave a comment, share this show out there. Again, we've been going for approaching that 3-hour mark, and I could definitely use the support for you guys as we breach the 11:30 hour here on the West Coast. So next section, the White House. Let's get into some comms. Right? We'll cover these a little bit more detail on DEF CON tomorrow night too on Badlands. Make sure you guys are tuned in and subscribed over there. That's at 10:30 p.m. Eastern. That'll be following my show tomorrow. But the White House puts out almost done. On Trump's truth, he puts rounding the final turn, President DJT. Now, if you watched last week's show, as they were talking about the gosh, can't even think of the proper term for the waterway in front of the monument. So one of you guys will have to help me in the chat. But when they showed it, it showed the different tiers, the different phases. And right before the last phase, there was a little handwritten area that says, "You are here." And we talked about, hey, I see God's your Huckleberry Central Time. Still awake, Alpha. That's what I'm talking about. Captain Bear. God bless you, Alpha. God bless you too, Captain Blair. Reflecting pool. Shout out to Larza for Trump 130 over there on YouTube. Say, we're team, folks. We're team. So, yes. So, do I think that Trump and the White House are talking about the reflection pool? In just the reflection pool? No. Why? There's a series of posts that I'm going to show you here that I think when you put them all together, I think they're kind of indicating that we're actually talking about the infamous plan that's in play. So let's go through some more of these and see if I can paint this picture. August the 17th, phenomenal Anon puts buckle up. And what's he talking about? Well, if you go down to this post right here from the White House, 1 week away, and I need to bring my media back up because I think I might have some of these for you guys. If I can find them. All right. The White House puts 1 week away, UFC X White House, buckle up. It's about to go down. And obviously you saw some images in the background. Well, Otis caught one of those. And it's this one. Let me see if I can bring this a little bit bigger for you guys. And as you see back here on this crane, says big boom, right? Big boom. But right here, buckle up. It's about to go down. And when you go over here, you got buckle up, set the stage, POTUS, do you believe? And again, big boom. Could it be a coincidence? Maybe. Let's keep looking, see what else falls into place. Then you get Trump that puts out this video, right? And it's, I'm going to hit play, but I'm going to do it without the audio. And it's a series of Trump everywhere. He's doing his dance, you know, Africa loves me, Mexico loves me, everybody loves me. You know, I wish he would have steered away from the pizza, but I get what he's saying with the Italians and lean. But anyways, he's talking about how everybody loves him. He wants to trigger the West, right? So then we go into after he gets everybody triggered, and he's literally, if you go through that, you can identify some people that you think are all these countries part of the new sovereign alliance. There's an argument to be made there, or are these the countries left to be brought because they're still adversary to it? I probably think some of those would lean there, thinking that we're still talking Italy, we're still talking Mexico, and some of the ones that he put out. But I've seen both arguments. But then you get this one, the White House, Patriots in control, patriotic summer. And that's going to come into play when we put a bow on the show tonight, the summer part. But patriotic summer. And so this is posted on June the 5th, 2026. And let me shrink this just to make it a little easier for me to see some stuff. There we go. So when we go into this post right here, we get, who do you think is leaking the information? Take a wild guess. Analyze the shooter, pawn, voices in the head. We know. We are taking action behind the scenes. CNN was set up. Stupid. Could this, come into play? And again, we're talking about the timestamp for those that are being curious. 5:17 is my time, so 8:17 is Eastern. So this brings us to post 8:17. Could be. I didn't really kind of see too much of a bit playing into the context, but again, I wanted to show you guys to see if you have a different opinion. We go to the military time, 2017. We get blind eyes in the sky. Shall we play a game? Corona 16 task force, Corona 16 now offline. Well, we do see some commentary around Fauci and stuff like that, but I don't really see the context on that one. So you guys can let me know what you think. And hold on as I check a message real quick. All right. Little one is up late and she'll be hanging out in the living room. My sweet little Ellie. She's a little night owl like Papa Bear. So I got to keep an eye on her. She'll probably come in here and be like, "Still on the show, Dad?" So if you guys see little one, that's my princess. Say a prayer for my tiny ones, folks. I appreciate it. Moving on. Sorry, distraction squirrel. Scavino puts out the hourglass. Time running out. If we go, and again, right here, 9:36, so East Coast time would put us at midnight 36 or 00:36. And if we go to post 36, it's a long one, but I'm going to read you the parts that I highlighted. Or actually, I'll read you the first sentence and then the parts that I highlighted. Military intelligence, MI. Focus on Flynn. Was Comey forced into the spotlight shortly thereafter, not by choice? Right before the election, no doubt, would cast suspicion. Remember seashells, 8647. Remember, he's been reindicted. If Trump failed, if we failed, and HRC assumed control, we as patriots were prepared to do the unthinkable. This was leaked internally and kept the delegate recount scam and Barack Obama from declaring fraud. We're talking 2016. There's simply no other way than to use military. It's that corrupt and dirty. So let's just break these things down for a second. Again, remember, up here by itself, focus on Flynn. Now let's get back here. Comey, kind of talked about that already. But a lot of people say, well, how did, if there's election fraud and it's corrupt, then how did Trump win 2016? Again, it has always been my position, or one of the theories of my positions, that, how would Trump win in 2016 when it's stolen? Unless somebody threw in an assist, or unless that is going to be one of the elections that is going to be deemed as fraudulent. And, fraud eviscerates everything. And maybe 2016, even Trump's presidency is going to fall into that category if we find out someone maybe laid some hands to help them. Why do I think this? Because of this part that's highlighted in red. If Trump failed, if we failed, and HRC, Hillary, would have assumed control, became president, we as patriots, the white hats, military, were prepared to do the unthinkable. We're talking 1775, 1776. Maybe even what they tried to do to Trump a few times and were unsuccessful, but they were successful at doing to Charlie Kirk. Maybe that's what they mean by the unthinkable. This was leaked internally, so they made sure that this information got to the cabal, to Barack Obama. And that's what stopped Barack Obama and them from saying, hey, Trump won through fraud. Because they knew that it was going to escalate, and they said, hey, we're going to do the long game here. Remember? On the boards, it says the White Hats have contingencies. And that's why I have a huge frustration with people that say, we're just watching a movie. It's all a script. No, we're living a movie, and there is a script with multiple choices. And depending on what choices our government makes, our enemies make, and us people make, Depends on what route we're going to go. Remember those books where it says, if you want little Johnny to go through the barn door, turn to page 87. If you want little Johnny to continue crossing the reek, go to page 118. And then you would go to that page, and that determined, you kept getting these choices throughout the book. So the book was all written, but depending on what story you lived in the book, depend on the choices you made. That's what I think, that when we're saying we're watching a movie and it's scripted, that's what's happening here. This is still a real world event. And that's why this red part is very significant. Alan says, we all fired up. I am fired up, man. Can't be too fired up, though, because got to go to bed soon. And then the last part, there's simply no other way than to use the military. It's that corrupt and dirty. And I think 100% we're not just talking about the government. I think we're talking about our elections. And I think this goes into what I said earlier about the military being involved, whether it's the vote count or maybe even the practice of how we're going to vote that day. We'll see. All right, let's keep going on because we got to fly through this now because I'm starting to get tired. Scavino comes out and puts this video. Right? Minute 17 seconds. And let me mute this. Well, let me bring it up and I'll hit play for you guys on this one. Hopefully YouTube will show me mercy because I think there's only 2 that I got to do this way. So give me 1 second, folks. Bringing it up. All right, let me go big screen with it. All right, take a listen. Oh, so bad. All right, let me get this fixed. Let me get us back into our regular format. Bear with me a second, folks. You guys know the way it rolls when we're live. Got to make some adjustments every now and then. All right, let's go here. Let's bring it back. Let's shrink this. And so, again, we go over here and 10:46. So just to make sure everybody understands, 7:46 my time. So 10:46 on the East Coast. So we go to post 10:46, April 6, 2018. Epicenter, full house. They are all here, 24/7, 365. Enjoy the show. We don't inform our enemies of specifics. We instead instill fear in them to make unplanned and disastrous counter moves. Again, this completely goes into the part that I just explained. But remember this part right here. Instill fear. That's going to come into play at the end of the show. And also right here, epicenter. And you're going to hear a comment that Trump makes about this here shortly. I think this one actually does have relevant context to it. And so then again, if we go to June 14th, because that's the date of the event, for those of you that don't know, June 14th. When we go to June 14th, there's 2 posts. Second one says, 1499. What is taking so long with the Inspector General's report on crooked Hillary and slippery James Comey? Numerous delays. Hope report is not being changed, and made weaker. There are so many horrible things to tell. The public has the right to know. Transparency. That goes back to, let's see, we're having trouble streaming to Facebook. This may be an issue. That sucks. Looks like we might have lost Facebook. Well, hopefully they'll come back. Must have did something that upset them. That's okay. That goes back into the play where it says, military is the only way. Maybe there's some context there. But then we have this one, 1498, first one. RR approved signed FISA warrant applications to extend surveillance on POTUS and others. What evidence to support? Snowball, RR at White House. Why was Rachel Brand removed? Critical thinking. So we'll see. I don't really think that one plays into it as much. But then we get Ripcord, another great Anon, does phenomenal work on decoding a lot of this stuff. He puts Dan Scavino posts a wolf among sheep video stating, stay in the shadows until it's time at 11:26 p.m. Eastern. He posts 3055 dated March 14th, 2019 at 11:26 p.m. Eastern, a timestamp match. The end is near. That'll come into play at the end of the show, reference something that Kash Patel put out. But also want to give you guys another take 2 on this, stay in the shadows until it's time. The good guys, the operators, are in the shadows, which is, guess who can't be in the shadows no more? The deep state operators. They're having to come out of the shadows And that allows the good guys in the shadows to do the ambush and take them down. And I love that. That was a phenomenal post right there. And again, the end is near. And if we go back to how we kind of started this section, we're rounding the corner. Remember, I don't think they're talking about the reflection pool. I think they're talking about this war, this plan that we're in. Enoch puts a well-known cryptic question from Q was, when does a bird sing? The White House just posted this below, and I raised the volume on this so you guys can hear it. Take a listen. It's only about 6 seconds. Now, if you think that that was just about Tweety birds, you have lost your ever freaking mind. When does a bird sing? We're talking snitching. And what does Trump do at the very end? We talked about this last week too. Folks, he's telling them right now, they're talking, we know everything. That one just really fires me up. And then we get Trump. Pink mirror. The reflection pool. Enoch again. Trump posts this on Truth a couple days ago, the 4th. Police, Department of Corrections, got the Punisher skull with the Trump hair. And then Policemen's Benevolent Association, PBA Local 105. Now again, that old detective thing is certain things catch my attention. There's a hunch and I roll with it. That 105 caught my attention. So I said, let's check out post 105. It's dated November 5th. Please pray. Operators are in harm's way, high risk, high value targets. Please pause and give thanks to who would die to save our republic, more to follow. And I was like, that absolutely has reference because he's literally talking about operators right there. Our tactical teams in law enforcement, in corrections. And the post is literally saying they're in harm's way, going after high value targets, which is what I know I have at least always said that when people ask for the arrest, that the high value arrest, the quote unquote names that people need for justification and vindication, that has to come towards the tail end again because of discovery. And everything's hinting that that's what's happening right now. Literally think that we're in that moment. And then Trump posts on Truth. Just sit back and relax. It will all work out well in the end. It always does. June 6th. And it goes to one of the things I said at the very beginning of the show. Doesn't matter how many podcasts you watch, doesn't matter how many assessments I give. In the end, outside your trust and faith in God, it comes down to, do you trust President Trump? Just sit back and relax. It will all work out well in the end. It always does. That statement's going to come into play again in the end. The White House, Democrats added again. Thought that was absolutely hilarious. Real Robert Post, here it is. Saudi Crown Prince Mohammed bin Salman Al Saud confirms that Trump is cleaning up the mess that Barack Obama, the world's #1 sponsor of terror, created. He gave Iran $150 billion in cash, and the IRGCs didn't even build a single street, housing complex, or industrial zone in Iran. Instead, Iran used the money to make missiles and drones, finance proxies, and arm terrorist organizations like Hamas, Ansar Allah, and Hezbollah. With these funds, Iran offered safe harbor to al-Qaeda leaders, including one of Osama bin Laden's sons, who was indoctrinated into jihadism. Barack Obama was responsible for the Arab Spring in 2010, which led to the rise of ISIS, the toppling of the Libyan government in 2011, and the emergence of a nuclear-capable Iran. The Obama syndicate, including his chief of staff, John Brennan, a devout Muslim, Hillary Clinton, Valerie Jarrett, Victoria Nuland, Susan Rice, and Samantha Power, did so deliberately in order to keep the region destabilized and use Iran as a buffer to prevent the Gulf states and Israel from amassing too much power. Now Iran attacking the very states Barack Obama stabbed in the back. Now President Trump is undoing everything Barack Obama touched, both foreign and domestic. One man has managed to do all of that while orchestrating the single greatest conspiracy in U.S. history here at home, for the overthrow of the United States government, and not a single investigation or prosecution has followed. I hope you guys are ready for what's coming. U.S. Department of Justice. The Department of Justice has filed denaturalization actions in various U.S. district courts against 17 individuals accused of serious offenses. Government account, and there's that number again. When criminal aliens exploit the naturalization process by breaking the law, there are consequences. Criminal aliens are lying about their past crimes, including drug dealers, sexual predators, and fraudsters. Gaining U.S. citizenship is a privilege, and under the steadfast leadership of President Trump, this Department of Justice maintains a zero-tolerance policy for the abuse of this process, said Acting Attorney General Todd Blanche. We will continue to work around the clock with our interagency partners to make sure U.S. citizenship is granted to those who truly deserve it. And there you have it again in the meme as well. Justice Department moves to strip U.S. citizenship from 17 naturalized sex offenders, fraudsters, and drug dealers, and more. I'm sure that is just a coincidence. Then we move in, Department of War CTO. Good morning. Nothing can stop the United States of America. That was posted this morning. Still Monday for us over here on the West Coast for at least 6 more minutes. Good morning. Nothing can stop the United States of America. And of course, August 17th would have a great breakdown for this one as well. Such a nice good morning with the Department of War CTO goes full Q. What's he talking about? Well, if we break this down right here, you can see, good morning, friends. You can see nothing can stop what is coming. And then you can see the United States of America in the flag. I mean, damn. Folks, these things just aren't a coincidence anymore. And then the last one for this section, folks, you have one of the jihadi terrorist simps puts, we'll see what happens, footage of the Knieber-Shikon missile test. And then you got Dan Scavino's, he quote posted Dan Scavino's time running out hourglass, and Scavino responds, LOL, artificial intelligence is bullshit. Just like your underground bunker in, and there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12 blanks there if you want to figure out what that is. But again, LOL, artificial intelligence is bullshit, just like your underground bunker in. What is Scavino saying? We know exactly where you guys are. And so with that, folks, let me bring us to our last ads for the night as we get into bringing this in for a landing here shortly. And I talked about them earlier. I want to talk about them again if you guys haven't done so already. Speaking of brain power and brain functions, nervous system, stomach, colon, all that, enforced clarity right here from Pet Club. This is also the one that I started to lose weight with. And you guys have seen the story of that. And I've seen others that have done that as well. But especially people with Alzheimer's, dementia, things like that you might be worried about. This is the one you want to get from that. And again, you guys know I take all 4. So let's give a little love to Pet Club and we'll come right back.
Science proves that a healthy immune system is the body's first defense against the smallest of ailments to the most catastrophic. Coriolus versicolor is the most sought-after, all-natural supplement for both humans and pets to help boost the immune system. There are over 400 studies worldwide on its effectiveness in humans, including Sloan Kettering Cancer Center, MD Anderson Cancer Center, and now from the University of Pennsylvania School of Veterinary Medicine. Together, we can help reverse this terrible tide now plaguing your loved ones and give them the immune-boosting supplements that they need.
Again, folks, that link will be down in the description. And then we have one from Rumble, the Kids Guide. You will see that QR code in just a second populate over my left shoulder. And you'll see that link also show up in the live chat. All right, parents, real talk for a second. America is about to hit a huge milestone. We're coming up on America's 250th birthday, 250 years of freedom. grit, sacrifice, and the greatest experiment in self-government the world has ever seen. This is the perfect moment to help your kids understand why this country matters, not just fireworks and hot dogs, but the story behind it all. There's a free guide called The Kid's Guide to America's 250th Birthday, and it's honestly a great way to introduce kids to how America began, who the founding fathers were, what they risked, and why the idea they fought for still matters today. This guide sends kids back to the moment when brave men signed the Declaration of Independence, knowing full well that they were risking their lives for freedom. It breaks it all down in ways kids can actually understand and enjoy without watering it down or turning it into boring schoolwork. If you care about raising kids who know where this country came from and why it's worth preserving, this is something you'll want to grab. And the best part, it's completely free with this special offer. You just need to pay $2 for shipping and postage. Just head to freeusabirthday.com. That's freeusabirthday.com and the Kid's Guide to America's 250th Birthday for your kids today. America's story matters. Make sure the next generation knows it. And again, you'll see that link in the live chat. You'll see it down in the description. And like I said, you'll see a lot of links to people that sponsor and promote this show. And if you guys want to go and help them, it helps me, and some of them give me a commission. So it's definitely appreciated there as well. So now, as we start to bring this to a close, we are going to get into this quick little doozy. So, Hot Rod puts, I see EBS colors in the background. And I've seen a lot of anons and people putting that out there. Now, I see it too. It is real. You had multiple. I know some people are questioning whether it was real or not. And let me just show a few more before I get ahead of myself, and I'll explain to you guys what's going on here, because this one's really short. It's like 3 tabs. You have Christopher Webb put out, and this guy's obviously trying to attack the administration. But last night they tested the UFC stage lighting at the White House. Check it out. The People's House is looking more like Six Flags amusement park after dark. It's embarrassing. Embarrassing? Really? They forget about this? Remember this during Biden's administration? Trannies and rainbows and flashing, tranny breasts out there. So that was prideful, but UFC fight is a disgrace. Yeah, these people are just completely clowns. And then you have, well, let me just go back to this before we get too far ahead of ourselves. The EBS. Could that be something? Absolutely could be. For those of you that watch this show from the very beginning, I always cue in that EBS, emergency alert system, as well the EAS at the beginning of the shows right after the teaser trailer. You guys have seen me do it. So obviously, it's important to me. But I also want to make sure people understand too, if any of you have ever been to, like out here in Southern California, we have Stagecoach, we have Coachella Fest. It's also not uncommon to see the barcodes, the EAS, EBS up on the screen. Sometimes you even see that with targeting and markers because they adjust the graphics and things that are going on, and the light glare and the color. So yes, that is absolutely what you see back there. That's not AI or photoshopped in. But I also just want to remember everybody to maybe it is, but also know that with functions like this and events like this, that's also not uncommon. And I just want to make sure that we're aware of that as well. So then, now let's go to this Truth Social post. Trump puts, on Wednesday, June 24th at 7 p.m. in magnificent Washington, D.C., now totally beautified in one of the safest cities anywhere in the world, and in celebration of our country's 250th year history, we will be bringing you live the greatest rally ever. It will be a special at every level. Now listen to this part. A rally to end all rallies. We don't want singers with no talent, but big fees to put you to sleep. We've told them all to stay home. All we want is you, me, a few speakers, and the greatest music ever played. The same music you have listened to for years. We have the fabulous Lee Greenwood introducing me with what has turned out to be one of the greatest hits of all time, God Bless the USA, and the amazing Christopher Machio, who will sing, listen to this, Nessun Dorma, Hallelujah, Ave Maria, God Bless America, and others. Not since the legendary Luciano Pavarotti has this ever been such a voice. The rally will also be featuring the wonderful U.S. Army Band, Pershing's own, and the Armed Forces Choir, and the President's own, the United States Marine Band, with the Joint Armed Forces Chorus, all of your favorite hits, plus a fine and highly dignified gentleman known as President Donald Trump. Two key things here. The rally to end all rallies and Nessun Dorma. Now, why does that matter? Well, the skiff breaks this down. Nessun Dorma is played at the dramatic ending of the movie The Sum of All Fears, while all the traitorous cabal members are taken out in a massive assassination operation. President Trump mentions a celebration and a rally to end all rallies. There are no coincidences. Folks, what's getting lined up? Now, I just want to clarify my position. I would love to see all this go down in June. I don't think that part's going to go down in June. I think that part's going to go down post midterms after Trump has all his politicians in play. But I do think that this is, again, signifying through symbolism, right, for the good guys, not the bad guys, is where we're at. Remember, Trump put on that map or that meme last week, and again, they addressed it this week. We are here, rounding the corner. You're here. End, right? We're going to get into a few of those. I promise we're almost done. I know we're at 3 hours and 20 minutes. But we'll fly through this, folks. I don't think we need to break this into 2 shows. I think we can fly through here. Let me see how many. Yeah, we don't got a whole lot of videos left. I don't might throw some audibles in there. So let's get into the FBI one now. So I'm just making sure. Sorry, folks. I just make sure that I'm good to go on all my tabs. Eric Darter puts holy smokes. FBI Director Cash reveals 3 million pedophile accounts on the Tor network were taken down, plus nearly 100% surge in child predator arrests. That's something to celebrate. 7,200 kids that we found that got to go home. 3,400 child predators and traffickers arrested. That's up 99% from the best year Biden ever had. That means kids are being protected at levels that are simply unheard of. And that means that the FBI, here's another thing, we didn't just do physical work on the streets. We went to the cyber community and we dismantled 3 million pedophile accounts off the Tor network where these predators prey on our children and they think they can hide from the FBI. They can't. We're going to end of the earth and the cyber realm to make sure our most precious commodity, kids, are safeguarded. And take a listen.
How did you do this?
Well, Kaylee, as you know so well, and as you advocate so much for our youth, they're our most precious treasure. And we made it a priority to go after the villains and the terrorists and gangbangers that are targeting our kids. And what we did was we utilized intelligence-driven operations. We took 1,500 employees from the FBI in D.C. and put them in the field permanently, working with our state and local law enforcement partners. And we went after the worst of the worst. And those stats, while those stats are meaningful, and those stats are truly historic, just think about the 7,200 kids that we found that got to go home. Just think about the 3,400. Actually, when you take the numbers for this year, we're at 3,400 child predators and traffickers arrested. That's up 99% from the best year Biden ever had. That means kids are being protected at levels that are simply unheard of. And that means this FBI, here's another thing. We didn't just do the physical work on the streets. We went to the cyber community and we dismantled 3 million pedophile accounts off the Tor network where these predators prey on our children and think they can hide from this FBI. They can't. We are going to the ends of the earth and the cyber realm to make sure our most precious commodity, kids, are safeguarded. And the numbers speak for themselves because the FBI are putting kids first.
Yeah, I call them our diamonds. That's what they are. And I want to ask you about this. There was a hostage situation, actually 2 this week.
Again, folks, a lot of people are trying to give our FBI a hard time, but how are you going to argue when you have that kind of proactive police work? Let's keep going because we're not done with him. FBI Director Cash puts out, follow the money. Follows that up with, as my good friend, the Sly Stallone, says, it ain't about hard you hit. It's about hard you get hit and keep moving forward. How much you can take and keep moving forward. Do you have what it takes? Join the mission. This was pretty cool. I actually enjoyed this, and I think you guys will too. And of course, you're going to recognize the voice in case you don't know who Sly is, which would be very disappointing.
Listen up. The world is a dangerous place.
It's full of people looking for weaknesses. Terrorists, cyber criminals, the worst of the worst. They're always training, always looking for a way in. Most people want to play it safe, but not you. You want to be part of the elite? The FBI is a championship team of federal law enforcement. This is the big leagues. We're looking for fighters, the ones who run towards the fight when everyone else is running away. We need the analysts, the scientists, the field agents, the absolute best in every single category. People with fidelity and bravery and integrity in their blood. We don't just show up. We dominate the threat. We protect the innocent. We deliver justice. We defend this nation with everything we've got. This isn't a job for people looking to punch a clock. This is for the ones who want to be the shield, the ones who want to be champions for the American people. You think you have what it takes to stand with the best? Then prove it. Step up and leave a legacy. Join the FBI.
Rocky's telling you to do it, you got to do it. I don't know. Maybe it's time to put on the boots and carry a badge again. I don't know. It is tempting. I'm not going to lie, folks. My boy Josh brings this to our attention. He's talking about one of MJ's posts. John Solomon reveals that fresh documents just discovered inside the FBI contain evidence pertaining to Barack Hussein Obama that is about to become public. I think there will be a need to summon Obama based on some of this. And of course, I have this for you. It's about a minute.
If you saw a grand jury subpoenaed a former president, Barack Obama, I think there will be a need to summon him based on some of the evidence that's now public or about to become public. We've done a lot of talking about him, and he can't be indicted most likely, which also means he can't claim the Fifth Amendment. And I would keep an eye on that dynamic. I also think that there is big new documents being found in the last few days inside the FBI, the Justice Department, and inside the intelligence communities that go all the way back to the origins of Crossfire Hurricane, all the way up to and including Jack Smith. And I think there's going to be some pretty big revelations with that. And so you'll have information coming out, and that information immediately being digested into a accountability prosecution team down here in Florida. And so the one takeaway I had from just doing a lot of reporting this week is that I think the grand jury is going to need to hear from Barack Obama to understand some of the things that happened on his watch. And
that's a big deal. And maybe I'm wrong. Maybe it doesn't happen after midterms. Maybe it comes in early. I think what we'll probably see early, maybe before in the midterms, is maybe we do see some people get subpoenas for witnesses. Maybe we do see another indictment. I'm going to get to the John Bolton here in just a second. We're almost there. We'll see. Cap Hall 4547 tags me on this one. Meme Shark, overnight special forces operations in Long Beach. We talked about this earlier, but I want to play some sound effects for you guys. Won't play the whole thing because it's 2 minutes and it's mostly sound effects, but I do want you guys to get a little bit of some audio with this. So take a listen. All right. So that's enough of that. You guys get the points. Now, for any of you that ever served in the military or on a tactical team, you know, you train in the environments that you're going to deploy to. You know, you want something that's very similar to that so you can rehearse and dry run, assuming that this isn't really probably something going on that's under the cover of training, which I talked about earlier in the show. But at a minimum, you're training for something that's going to mirror as close as possible to the environments you're going to actually be operating in. And again, a whole lot of issues going on in California. So, is it just training? We'll find out sooner or later. Which brings us to this. And we're going to do this part. We're going to do the John Bolton part. And then we're going to get into Rumble Rents, call it a night. And then we'll do the following part tomorrow because I don't want to rush through it because that last part, it's going to run about close to an hour. And I don't want to rush it. And I don't want to put us over 4 hours because we just hit 3 hours and 30 minutes here. But this part right here, Cash comes out and he puts the in. And what's he referencing? Right here, of course, if you wish to do harm to our citizens by igniting explosive devices or taking people hostage, we're going to come in that door and we're going to put you down. The end, right? And I do have this clip for you as well, I believe. I do. So let's listen to this and then we're going to begin into Bolton after these drops.
Hostage situation, actually 2 this week, and they were on opposite sides of the country. One was in Bakersfield, California. One was in Cincinnati, Ohio. How do you resolve that at the FBI? 2 hostage situations across the country.
When we got into this administration, we built our central command and known structure and our tactical tier 1 element, our hostage rescue team, our HR team elements, so they can be on standby and ready to action at a moment's notice. And as you just indicated, in the middle of the night, a criminal took hostage 10 innocent Americans in Bakersfield, California, and strapped a bomb to himself inside an office school building. In the middle of the night, we launched a fixed-wing asset with a full Tier 1 element of tactical operators. They breached that compound later that evening, put down the perpetrator, and rescued all 10 civilians. Everyone was safeguarded. Simultaneously, or near simultaneously in Ohio, another individual had taken bomb-making material and 8 explosive devices next to an apartment building and threatened to blow up people in the surrounding area. Another tactical element of our hostage rescue team deployed. Because of the resources that this administration has given us, we're able to tactically and soundly go into these compounds and breach that apartment as well, apprehend that individual, make sure no devices went off, and safeguarded the immediate apartment complex, which could have caused death and harm to tens, if not dozens of people. And that is just an incredible testament to the entirety of the critical incident response group we have at the FBI, from our pilots to our tacticians to our tactical operators and our evidence technicians and our field agents on the ground. They came together in dozens overnight, in the middle of the night, to execute simultaneous operations. That's what America can expect. If you wish to do harm to our citizens by igniting explosive devices or taking people hostage, we're going to come in that door and we're going to put you down.
And as this was taking place this week, there was also a superseding indictment.
The end. Now, why is that relevant, especially given what he just talked about? There's a couple here. Post 3532, July 28th. The swamp runs deep. DNC servers hold many answers. Scaramucci model, DNI, and NSA. House of Cards. You didn't think the plea deal was the end, did you? And who did we just get word of that is entering into a plea deal? Hold on, we're getting there. The next one, 3332, May 12th, 2019. Boom week ahead. Treason doesn't play well in the end. Hold on, we're not done. 3055. The end is near. And then the last one. In the end, all will be right. Patriots protect patriots. And who said earlier in a post, in the end, it will all be all right? Was that President Trump? And remember, I told you guys this post will revisit it again. And again, right here, post 2218, September 19th. Loading. Flynn exonerated soon. We know that happened. In the end, all will be all right. Patriots protect patriots. Anita B. Deep says, getting tired. We'll have to finish tomorrow. Good night, everyone. We will, Anita. Actually, I'm going to cover the Bolton part right here real quick because it's very important. So if you can hang on for about another 10 minutes tops, Anita, you don't want to miss this part. Maybe not even 10 minutes, maybe 5 or 6 minutes. I'm going to get into it. But I just want to make sure that we caught this part with the end. Now, into the Bolton part, and this is how we're going to end the night. There's 3 tabs here. Fox News puts, breaking, John Bolton is set to plead guilty over his mishandling of classified documents. The former Trump national security advisor will plead guilty to retaining classified information after his home and office were raided last year on August 22nd. I got this right here for you guys. This is 26 seconds. Take a quick listen.
Okay, we got this moments ago. Breaking news, sources revealing that John Bolton is planning to plead guilty to retaining classified information. That plea will likely keep him out of prison. This stems from a charge, 18 of them at the end of last year, of keeping a diary-like material of classified information. So it looks like that case is moving forward and in likelihood is now settled.
So that brings us to Megan Heaton came out. Great post here. And it's referencing the video clip we just see. John Bolton to plead guilty of mishandling classified documents. And right here, if we go April 3rd, 2018, follow Bolton, clean, stage, learn how to archive offline. The streets will not be safe for them. Follow Bolton. And isn't it funny that it's about the mishandling of documents? And this also says learn to archive offline. And if we go to the next one, follow Bolton. Operators on site, deep and safe. How does that play into the post that we just talked about a few minutes ago, right? Operators in harm's way, high profile targets. So that said, to close out this one, and then we'll get into Rumble Rant and any super chats you guys got in. We'll call it a night. If you guys remember a few weeks ago when we got into the second indictment of Comey, and I was also talking about the indictment of Bolton. One of the things that I said, and you guys will remember this, you guys can, someone can find the clip. Actually, find the clip. It would help me a lot so I can post it. I said, and I use my own case as an example. People like Bolton, people like Comey, they have the finances to prolong these cases out for at least 1.5 to 2 years. There's enough. They have the money and the ability to push this well into 2028 to run the opportunity to have their cases go under a different administration. You guys remember that? And I said, look, I was able to push mine from 2021 all the way to January 2025. Again, extremely expensive, but money's not an issue for these guys. And so I said, so with that understanding, I said, if you guys see Bolton or Comey come to a plea agreement in 6 to 9 months, I guarantee you 120% they are cooperating with the DOJ. Nobody convinced me otherwise. And I told you guys, if these guys come to a plea deal in the window I'm talking about, I guarantee you they're working with the DOJ. I guarantee you. And here we are, folks. Bolton saying that he's going to enter into a plea deal. And just to remind you of a little quick video clip we just said, it's only 6 seconds. You're going to see Comey into a plea deal as well. Brennan is done. Obama is done. The deep state house of cards is falling apart, and you guys are witnessing it in real time. Do not let the panicans create doubt. Do not let the black pillars create despair and destroy your morale. Morale is a what? It is a weapon. Folks, over 3 hours here, over 3.5 hours here, we've shown you majority factual information supplemented with my opinions and my assessments. There's everything in this show to show you that things are going the way we want. So with that, folks, I'm going to go full screen with me. Let's check out these super chats. I think I saw one or two more come in. Let's see. We are right here. Mark. Oh, we saw that one. So one more that came in. Oh, again, also from Waffles Bacon $5. Sean Ryan is on Milk Bars TV on YouTube channel 6 days ago. If he did it on YouTube, Waffles, I won't be able to show that one because they'll give me a nasty gram. I'll end up getting a strike for that one. I wish they would have showed it on one of the different platforms, but I will still take a look at it because I want to laugh with it. So again, Waffles, thank you for that super chat over there on YouTube. So let's get over here and catch up on the Rumble Rants. Wow, you guys were very nice to me tonight. Thank you. $10 coming in from Jules Patriot. Let me scoot this over, make it a little easier for me to read. There we go. $10 coming in from Jules Patriot. I have a decode that Trump used specific words and numbers 6-7 in the decode. Can I send it to you? She talks fast and I got confused. Yeah, absolutely. Send it to me. I'll definitely take a look at it. I don't mind seeing that. Dollar for dollar, Roy McGill 78 says, I love that answer, sir, and thank you for that answer. I asked because of your personal experience. So yeah, that means a lot to get that perspective from being on both sides of it. God bless you. Okay, well, thank you too, Rory and Jules Patriot. $5 coming in from Merlin IV or Merlin the Fourth. Alpha, it's Merlin in Florida Central, near the Village's old people. Our new problem is these Yanks are invading Florida freedom. The influx is tainting our tropical state. Rude, entitled, it's insane. Well, Merlin, here's my prediction. As the country starts to unfold, and I would say this is probably like a 2 to 3 year window, as the country starts to unfold and we start to get people we actually want into our government, states and counties and cities are going to start looking more like what people are actually voting for. And you're going to see everybody kind of start to migrate back to places they actually wanted to live and not places they kind of fled to avoid tyranny or taxes or things like that. So I think in the next 3 to 5 years, we're going to see some of that stuff taper off. And at least I hope, Merlin, but I really think that we're going to end up seeing that. So hang in there and don't let the Yanks get to you too much. Dollar for dollar, G Vontes 119. I'm betting it's going to be a third-party Massey MTG major party elopers, and they're going to call it America First. People already were merchandising it more than 2 years ago. Yeah, and they've been trying to get Elon to get over on the bandwagon, but it won't happen, G Fontes. $1 for G Fontes again. I certainly think they're trying for the White House, but will depend on taking congressional seats, enough to need either D's or R's to give them a great deal to get enough swing votes to pass anything. If things were status quo, I would probably say, yeah, potentially, but elections are not going to look anything. The 2028 elections are going to be completely different. And what we're going to see here in midterms is going to be completely different based off what Trump's going to do. So I think the one thing we're going to see after 2026 midterms is they're going to realize they can't steal them no more. I think that's what they're going to realize, which brings us into another conversation on, well, what are they going to do? And that's not for tonight. $5 again from Merlin the Fourth. Alpha. The main problem is the lobbies and PACs, etc. The money is weaponized against the Republic from all fonts like traitors. They're all pushing any agendas. How do we stop this? NGOs are terrorists. Well, you got to remember the NGOs exist because the mechanism still exists. The deep state, the cabal exists. But Trump has exposed the NGOs, and he went after USAID, went after the National Endowment for Democracy. He is subverting the deep state. And so when the deep state collapses, that money apparatus, because remember, when he went after what I've always said, the white collar money laundering, which is through the NGOs and the government agencies, then he went after the cartels and the gangsters, MS-13, the Mexican mafia. That's the underground money laundering. So what you're going to see is the majority of these NGOs are just going to start disappearing because the funding that's kept them alive is not going to exist anymore. The entities that kept them alive is not going to exist anymore. So you're going to see that the lobby and all that stuff, I think, is, again, it's not going to be the same. I can guarantee you that 2026 is going to be different, and 2028 is going to be even still different from that. So Let's pray for our country. Let's pray that I'm right. And then again, dollar from Merlin again. I'm disabled due to 2 back surgeries. 2011, getting around is tough. 10-pound rock attached to my neck. Holding my brain. Had quad bypass in 2022. Lost my pops because of the hospital. Put them on a vent. Sorry about that. Sorry about your pops. They did some stuff to my uncle. I think he'd be here if things would have went a little bit different. So I'm sorry for your loss, Merlin, and sorry that you have all that pain going through you. And I pray that my brother Josh is right about this technology that's coming. And I pray that people, like you and so many others that, have these things of pain in your body. I pray that the technology will get rid of all that and provide you a different quality of life. So I pray that for you, Merlin. $5 coming in from the Meerkat. Thanks, Alpha. See you in a couple of weeks. Well, if that means you're going to Gart Deadwood, see you there, Meerkat. Dollar for dollar, G Fontes again. Yep. Hunter's publicist manager, even had him state, I've worked on something like 17 company boards. Yep. You're absolutely right, G Fontes. That really got my attention. The best he could do is cooperate with prosecutors. But why? I think this goes back to you're going to see some people get deals in order to get some of these bigger fish. And I think Biden did make a deal with Trump and the White Hats to save Hunter's bacon. And I think with that came some concessions Hunter was going to have to make. And we'll see. We'll see. We'll keep. This is something I'm willing to evolve my position on, but I will never evolve my position on, his soul is cooked because of what he did to kids. Again, dollar from Merlin. So if you need me to go PI recon happenings in Central Florida from the Gainesville, Palm Beach, where my sister lives, I got full studio, also motorhome, cams, mics, pro stuff, freelance for balance. Check you out, Merlin. I like that, man. Very cool. Thank you for that offer. G Fontes 119. I really think Hunter's being led by DNC, DCCC to help their party reinvent themselves by changing to a potential new party. I'm also considering how little funds the DNC is raising so far. They are broke. They got no money. Dollar for dollar, Jules Patriot. This is a decode that goes with the White House and the California election. Okay, I'm gonna leave that one like that so I know to come back for it. So thank you for that, Jules. And then dollar for dollar again from Merlin. DM me on X. The WZ4 ad. Gotcha. I'll just copy paste that one. I'm free to serve. I must do my part. In this, my kids are America first and MO, that base. I question situation, only response is photos of them all having a blast. And then last one, Redneck Renegade 03, just to be a dick and make you read one more rant. Wow. Redneck knows that I'm absolutely exhausted. Redneck's been around for a long time. Thank you for being here on the show. So folks, with that, tomorrow night, make sure you tune in 9 p.m. Eastern, 6 p.m. Pacific. I'm going to be having Kurt and Kristen on from Pet Club, be talking about a new product they have that's super cool, especially for you ladies. You don't want to miss out on that. And then on the back end of that, or maybe I'll start the show with it, one or the other, I'm going to do the part that we didn't get to tonight, which is going to include the Trump-Israel type, something to do with the CIA and the gold bar. So we got about another 45 minutes and then maybe about 30 minutes with Kurt and Kristen. So we're looking about a little over an hour and a half tomorrow. So with that, we covered all. Let me make sure no more super chats came in at the end. Again, thank you guys for all the support on whatever platform you're watching. Looks like we lost Facebook tonight. I hope they didn't take down the channel, but if they did, they did. But if you guys can on the way out, smash the thumb, hit the heart, leave a comment. And again, no one owns this show. There's no contract for this show. It's strictly funded by you guys, by my partners, affiliates, and sponsors. So if you're someone who has the means to subscribe on Rumble or X or YouTube, couple bucks from a lot of you guys makes a huge difference in my operation here. I would appreciate that. But we will close with the prayer, and then we'll be out here. Dear Father, thank you for another day of life. Thank you for my audience. Thank you for my friends. Thank you for my coworkers. Thank you for my family. Father, life gets hard sometimes by way of the world, and sometimes by the decisions we make ourselves. Father, help to guide us through every decision we make, to glorify you and understand the great decisions, and to humble ourselves and to learn from the bad decisions. Father, right now there is a lot of chaos, confusion that is going on in not just our country, but around the world. I pray that you can provide my audience clarity, whether it's through my words in my show or through others, but just provide them clarity. Father, help us to recognize what the responsibility is for each one of us to not only save our country, but to bring people to you. We pray and we ask all this in your son, Jesus' name. Amen. Folks, keep me in your prayers. Keep my family in your prayers. Keep our country in your prayers. I will see you guys on the next one. I am absolutely smoked. We came in hot, folks. We came in hot. We're pumped. We're motivated. I had fun tonight. I hope you guys had fun. Leave me all your questions in the comments. I do read those. You guys see, that's how I know when you guys got them fake accounts going in there. I hope you guys had a blast. I hope you guys appreciate the work that I do. I definitely appreciate you guys. So with that, good night. God bless. Boobaloo 1976 coming in right there at the very end. Became a member on YouTube. Thank you for that. Boobaloo, appreciate you. See you guys in the next one.